then I'll get confused when it starts going. All right. Hey, Internets. It's Jake, and this is Mini Terrain Domain. And it's been a while since I've done this, but I'm running another game tonight. And I am joined by 4 amazing players, and we are going to have a blast for the next few hours. We're going to be playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we are running a Copper Jackals incursion using the latest release from Absolute Tabletop. Head on over to absolutetabletop.com, and you can get that latest release for just a few bucks. And you're going to see what these Copper Jackals are like as we get going. This is a high-level game, and hopefully I've got enough baddies and enough threat level at these guys to make them quake in their boots. So I am Jake, Mini Terrain Domain. You know me mostly for crafting dungeon terrain and occasionally running games here. And I'm going to let each of the players real quick introduce themselves and plug their channels if they have a channel or whatever you want. And then we are going to roll right into the game. Because this is an incursion. This is all about getting out there and doing some mercenary work. So let's start with the amazing Mike the Piper. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Wouldn't exactly say amazing, but hey, you know, to each his own. Hi everybody, this is Mike the Piper, and I am so excited to be playing this like official released Copper Jackals game. It's going to be awesome. MTG Jacob is just a phenomenal DM, and I really look forward to playing. And yeah, check me out on YouTube with the keyboard, with the things, with the internets, and all that jazz. And yeah, let's do this. I'm stoked. Matthew.
Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm from. I don't have any channels, but I'm playing Yori Winter, a druid from the Spine of the Veil, Spine of the Old Veil chapter. So I'm psyched to play that tiny druid, and I'm psyched to play that Copper Jackals adventure. Thanks.
Awesome. Chad.
Muted?
Okay, yeah, no, I got it. Hi guys, my name is Chad, Chad Nick, K-N-I-C-K. You can find me on YouTube at that same name, Chad Nick. Just search that up. I'm also at gastrogamer.wordpress.com. Gastrogamer, we go through and do reviews, or I do reviews for children with accessibility needs, and trying to get more games and more information and stuff about that out is something that I'm really passionate about.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least is Marquise.
What's up, everybody? I'm Marquise Hardis. You might also know me from my YouTube channel, Stereotypical Strider, where I run live games of, live plays of all the games I run. I'm also 1/3 of A Point of Inspiration. We at A Point of Inspiration are a third-party nonprofit publisher, and we put out supplements and other materials for D&D 5th edition, and we're looking to expand to other games and brands looking into the future. Tonight, I'm actually able to play test something from my next book, a Blood Hunter archetype, which Blood Hunter is, if you don't know, Matt Mercer's own unique class. I'm very happy to be able to do that, and I'm looking forward to playing the game. Thank you very much, Jake.
All right. So, of course, I'm having a document issue right now. So we're going to get going right into the adventure. The Murder Ark is a massive 2-story land vehicle comprised of wood and steel and driven by a team of dire oxen that are contained within the belly of this roving death machine. The Murder Ark is the home of the Copper Jackal chapter, known as the Onslaught. The Onslaught are known as the ultimate fighting machines. When there is a mission that needs to be done, that needs the baddest of the badasses, the Onslaughts are the ones that are summoned. The Murder Ark rumbles slowly across the landscape, serving as the base of operations for the Onslaught as it moves across the land of Dragon Grin, awaiting each mission that will summon the next wave of Jackals to deal with whatever issue may arise. In a land like Dragon Grin, they don't have long to wait between missions. As the camera zooms in to this massive lumbering machine of war, the camera kind of pans down through the so-called engine room where the dire oxen are huffing and heaving, and a couple of massive dwarves, stout dwarves that are the oxen handlers, are keeping the oxen moving, making sure that they are in peak physical shape. The camera pans past them and begins spiraling through some of the corridors and up to the second story, where there's a sort of bridge and thin window slits that look out over the landscape as the Murder Ark rumbles along. In the center of this room, there is a giant sand table, and gathered around this sand table, which shows various key areas within Dragon Grin, are several individuals. Standing with his back to the windows of the Murder Ark is a stout, or a halfling, but grizzled-looking man. He stands on a box that allows him to see level with everyone else and to see over the edge of the sand table. His name is Olafas Dupree, and he is a high-ranking jackal within the Onslaught. He has served his fair share of incursions, as is indicative from the numerous scars and the patchwork of field stitching across his face and his shoulders and his bare arms. 4 other individuals are gathered around this table. One of whom is known as Cragfall. Cragfall, what were you doing just prior to being summoned for this mission?
I was trying to navigate my way through the corridors, always so small, so cramped, but now I am here, looking forward to hopefully getting on with the talking. After the talking, then comes Ramsbane, my sweet, sweet Maul. Whence I bring her out to play. I look forward to putting bad people or things in the ground. But no matter how many I put in the ground, no matter how many I kill, it is never enough. Never enough until this dismembered lord is placed in his pieces, in crypts all throughout Dragon Grin. The people here don't talk to me very much. I don't blame them. I get angry. I feel the rage of my people on the steps, but I also want to honor them and kill my enemies and see them laying before me.
Next to Cragfall stands Yuri. Yuri, what were you doing just prior to being summoned for this mission?
I was resting in the hills of the Placid Wood of the chapter of the Spine of the Old Vale, spending my days with the animals and a few other people I trust. I don't trust many people. I trust more the animals. So much simpler, less to turn on you. And I had this vision about fire coming, destroying everything. And I thought, and I heard the voice of my old mentor, long dead. Cold fire consumes, but cold preserve. Do your duty. And I showed up for the first time in many years to get an assignment. I was only coming for that, and they sent me here, and here I am.
Beside Yuri stands the ashen form of Torchwood. Torchwood, what were you doing prior to this mission?
I spend my days normally tinkering away at a fallen lineage. My people were destroyed long ago. Only a smattering of survivors has made it. And I joined this murder arc simply because of the rage and the tortured sense of my being. I felt that these aggressive men and women were a kinship to myself. And so I found myself drawn to them. I began to craft a great many things. Archaic bombs, little trinkets here and there that I could use to forego the pain, something to keep my mind off things. But constantly you see him, anytime you see him in the murder arc, you see him holding a book, and it looks like a very old tome that is ashenly burned, and yet the pages are still rather nice. He flips through it, and it just looks like a bunch of scribbles to most, but to him it means something. And he begins to continue to take notes as he's walking down the hallway. And he stops with the remainder of his companions. And he looks to this gnome. I see you have called us here. What might you have needed that would have kept me away from my inventions?
Adolafast doesn't yet answer, and he looks over to the last person standing around the table. Brunhild, what were you doing prior to this mission?
The camera goes black, and when it reopens, you can see in the corner of the screen we are exactly 7 hours before this meeting. We are in the forest that drapes the mountains of the sphere below, and the camera is focused on a large boulder. And draped over that boulder is a hooded man. He is bleeding from his nose, from his head, and he slowly raises up, and he's shaking his head back and forth. God damn it! And as he speaks, he lifts his head, and you can see the insignia of the Peacemakers of Innis carved into his mask. He steps down from the boulder. Wildly, his head lights, and he shakes his head again. And as he looks back up, a second peacemaker is slung into his body, and they both go smashing against the boulder and fall to the ground. The camera pans away to another peacemaker some 20 feet away. He has his hands pulled up in a boxing position, and he's swinging his fist again and again at this woman with long black hair, wearing this cloak of dark black wolf fur. She's not moving. His fists find purchase on her head, her face, once, twice, thrice, and her chin moves. She looks back up to him, and there's a canine, a feral glow in her eyes. He swings again, this peacemaker, and she grabs it. She grabs his hand, and her nails, long like claws, dig into the back of his fist. Her second hand reaches out and grabs his peacemaker by the collar of his cloak. Before he can pull away, she pulls him in, and her head goes shooting forward as she slams her forehead into his. She pushes him back, pulls him back in, again and again and again, just headbutting this bastard over and over before she throws him back to the ground. He does not move. He is not dead, but she has made sure he will not get back up for the next few hours. And this woman reaches up, and she closes her left nostril and breathes hard, and a glob of spit and snot goes flying from the other nostril of her nose. A man approaches behind her, a man that looks almost like Cragfall does. He is a barbarian man wearing furs. He has paint covering his face, and he says to this woman, "Brunhild, you have been summoned by Dupleix, incursion, mission, hunt." This woman, Brunhild, turns, and she shows copper at this other barbarian. Now, when some copper jackals show copper, it's a very visible and visceral thing. Maybe horns coming from the head or a tattoo blossom across their body. But for Brunhild, it's different. You can see the inside of her mouth through her cheeks. It's glowing like an X-ray, and all of her teeth are sharp like a wolf's and outlined in copper. And she simply says, "I am on my way." The camera turns to black again. What you four see standing there at the table is Brunhild with a still somewhat bloody nose. She's wiped up what she can, but to be honest, she does not really care. She's looking down at the table, and she looks back up to Dupree, not saying anything, and she hears Torchwood's almost sarcastically remark, and she tut-tuts under her breath. Brunhild is a woman who believes that civilization breeds weakness, and Torchwood's reliance on his own machinations is just another bit of proof of that to her.
Olafas Dupree takes each of you in, looking around, giving you a look of appraisal, lingering a bit longer on Yuri, and then he addresses you. "Thank you each for coming here on such short notice. Now, I know it weren't much of a journey for Cragfall and Brunhild, or even our resident fire ant Torchwood. But Yuri, we appreciate you making the journey, and I only hope that each of you will be able to make the journey back here to the Murder Ark in one piece. I ain't gonna lie, there's nothing easy about this particular mission, but you're copper jackals. When has anything ever been easy, right? Torchwood, you come with the highest recommendations of your chapter head bonfire. He and I go back a long ways. That's why you guys are here on the Murder Ark in the first place. So I've got no questions whatsoever about your qualifications.
I'm glad.
Paul. Oh, go ahead.
I'm glad the bonfire was so appeasing of my qualifications, sir. I assure you, I plan on making whatever you have in store for us into a pile as destructed ash by the end of this mission.
Brunhild snorts.
You have a problem.
I'd have no problem with you. You simply amuse me.
All right, you two. If this mission goes well, you can get a room down in the Murder Rock. Yuri,
Yeah.
Rockspire, your chapter head specifically recommended you. For reasons that, to be perfectly frank with you, I hope don't become clear. You guys are being sent on a mission to protect the interests of not only the Copper Jackals, but of all of Dragon Grin. And I don't say that lightly. What you are about to go to, what you are possibly about to see, only the Copper Jackal heads and Copper Jackal avatars know of its existence. You four will be the first beyond the Jackal heads and the avatars and the Titans themselves to know that these things exist. You are being sent to Sulabane Thier. Now, so you should know, Sulabane Thier is the most volatile volcano in the Sphere Mountains. Now, I know you're probably thinking you'll be facing hordes of undead in the Sphere Mountains. But should you encounter any undead on this mission, they will be the least of your worries. Because you are going to be facing Uvridar and Falstaphage, the Fire Giant siblings. These two, brother and sister, have been causing problems throughout the Fire Mountains for quite some time. And it's not even their clan activity that's got us worried. It's those two and what they're up to. You're going to be deploying directly into the base of Sulabane Thier. And I'm not going to lie, what Ufredar and Falstaphage are doing is awakening the volcano. Our intel tells us it's an active excavation. The volcano was supposed to be the final resting place and final vault and safety and security device for what lied buried there since time of the Titans. Our intel tells us that the Fire Giant siblings are actively, as we speak, attempting to break into this vault and unleash what is within. We don't know what their motivations are, and quite frankly, we don't care. But they must be stopped. Your mission is to stop the Fire Giants. Stop them from achieving their goal, and stop them from breathing the hot air that they breathe. Should they succeed in what they are doing, your mission is to put down what they unleash. I'm deliberately not telling you what it is. Because if you stop them before they unleash it, the secret will remain. If they succeed in unleashing it, you will either put it down or it will put you down, and the secret will remain. Does anybody have any questions?
As you finish, the entire time Torchwood has been staring at you with these almost coppered eyes through the darkened, charred flesh on his skin and his face, his white hair tied up in a top knot. And you see what can only appear to be sort of a grin on his face. You can't really tell because you cannot see lips, but he grins and finally, something that I can hold on to. This is a fire and greatest dream. To witness the two twins of the mountains. I can almost feel my fingertips shaking with anticipation. And as he does this, he's actually rubbing his fingers together, and you can kind of see from the fingertips the charred skin is starting to peel and flake. And as it does, you see the essences of just copper going underneath of this charred skin.
As Torchwood is doing that, Brunhild is watching, and she's taking careful note of this person's mannerisms. She is a hunter. She is a predator. She watches everything with a very keen eye. And she's about to snort again, but something does catch her eye, and that's the person across the table who she does not recognize. So, kind of motioning with her chin, she looks to Rory and she says, "Who the hell is this, then?"
I'm Yori, Druid, and I need to come with you. I will heal you and help all of you.
Dupleix, there's not many druids here among us. Why is this one coming, and why is he an outsider?
I had a vision from my long dead mentor. He died many moons ago. And in the vision I saw flames and destruction. All the forest could burn, and I don't want that. From what I know, fire consumes, but cold preserves.
And she kind of snorts when you drop that phrase on her, and she looks again to Dupree, and she continues, "So then, you expect me and my brother Cardfall here to go with this fire ant and this... I don't even know what chapter he is from. How can I trust him?"
I was initiated in the spine of the old veil. You don't respect that? I show you my copper bite. It's a fire symbol ever changing on my forearm, the left forearm.
Here
And
oh, go ahead.
Dupree just looks at you, looks at this exchange for a minute, and he says, "As I say, he's vouched for. You better hope that his unique qualifications don't come into play. He's a copper jackal, and that's all you need to know. He's got your back, and I hope you've got his."
And Brunhild would kind of hold eyes with Dupree for a second too long for anyone who's not a member of Onslaught. And then she would look back over to Cragfall to kind of like try and share a glance with him, like These people have never been on a suicide mission like we have. Like, what are we doing? And then she doesn't say anything. She doesn't snort or anything. She simply sits there and she just watches to see what happens next.
And Craig Fall, standing, holding the twin ram's heads of his maul, is casually looking down, only paying half attention, and begins picking at a small object embedded into the maul. He pulls it out, and it's just like a small fragment of skull, still with a bit of brain matter in it. He just kind of flicks it, nowhere in particular, and it's kind of like falls like a little wet plop down onto the sand map. He looks up at Dupree, kind of shrugs his shoulders, and he looks over at Brunhild, and then back at Yuri. Well, if there's killing to be had, why are we still standing here listening? Let us go. Let us kill the things. Let us go back. They will do what they do, Brunhild. We are all together. We are all fighting. Let us not tarry. Let us not argue. Come on. I say we go. I say we kill. And then we come back. Maybe have a drink.
You're absolutely right, because we can waste no time. As I said, they're actively breaking into this vault as we speak. And then he kind of looks past you guys into the shadows of this bridge area and motions. And a shadow sort of detaches itself from the wall and draws a hood back from her cloak. And you see a slight half-elven woman. Her jackal bite is not something that she ever has to worry about showing, because her face is completely webbed in a very fine, intricate patterns of almost like, and I know I'm going to say this wrong, Hana, the stippling type tattoos.
Henna.
Henna, thank you. And just all over her face, and as she pulls this cloak back, her shoulders and her arms are bare, and it's just a constant crisscrossing across her arms and down into each finger, almost like if you knew what circuit boards were, that's what it would be reminiscent of. And she walks forward, and Dupree simply says, "This is Silivos, an Arcanic of Nil, and she is how you're getting to where you're going. Because time is of the essence, we don't have time to call on any of our winged counterparts. We don't have time to bring the murder arc there, and so we're relying on magic to get you there." And this woman withdraws from within the folds of her cloak some amulets, and she just walks to each of you, and it's a very simple amulet, and she hands it one to each of you, and you can see that she's wearing an amulet as well. And Dupree says, "Look, I'm not going to lie. This probably won't kill you, but it might hurt a bit. These are relatively untested. In fact, I think the only testing of this has been the 2 or 3 trips Silivos herself has taken. But these teleportation amulets are going to get you there. Silivos is the one who has been the eyes on the ground and has seen what there is to see. You will use these amulets to teleport to Sullivan Thier. And then Silivos, as she's distributing the amulets to each of you, She says, "We'll be teleporting into a small pocket of the mountain just north of the magma river. The giants have created a roadblock. A avalanche has blocked the northern pass. The bridge has been deliberately partially destroyed. They think it will keep out most humanoids. Just the other side of the bridge is where we will find the excavation site. I will teleport in for Overwatch on the southwestern face, opposite of Sulabanthea. When you arrive, there will be no mistaking that where your threat lies. Is everybody ready?"
Brunhild nods.
Cragfall shrugs his shoulders, holding the amulet and holding his maul, and kind of, all right, let's do this.
Yuri get his giant club of a mix of a staff in a club, and he says, I'm always ready."
Torchwood would probably be the only one that would methodically be taking time. The other three are rather bloodthirsty in their nature, sort of, wanting to immediately get to fighting. But he begins to take the amulet that was given to him and analyze it, sort of playing around with it like a Rubik's Cube, just to analyze it and to understand it. He gives a small grin. It does my heart good to know there are still inventors in this world. I imagine you will want to get on with it, huh? Well then, let us begin.
She looks at you and she says, "We will see if you will be thanking me when you arrive. It may hurt a little bit. There's about a 40% chance that you'll be knocked on your ass when we arrive." And with that, she touches her own amulet. There is a flash of blue, and you all just, everything on the murder arc just dissolves away. Son of a bitch. All right, I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw.
I like that little antidote you gave us right there, Jake.
The first thing you feel as the murder arc dissolves away is an almost instantaneous oppressive heat. Hotter than any desert that you've been in. If anybody has spent any time around a blacksmith's forge, you're immediately thought of if you were standing directly over the forge. And then if you multiplied that tenfold. Anyone, which looks to be only Brunhild, that failed the con check. Brunhild, as you feel this tremendous, the sudden transfer of location and all of your senses suddenly being jostled from what you know and what is familiar to something new, and you feel this oppressive heat, and you begin to kind of adjust your thinking and prepare for what is there. You feel just this tremendous crack that seems to emanate from where this amulet is, whether you're wearing it or holding it, and it just emanates to your very bones, and you take 13 points of force damage as the teleportation spell kind of backfires on you.
And I'll roleplay that reaction when the teleport finishes.
That's it. That's the end of the teleport.
Oh. So what does the surrounding environs look like, just for reference real quick?
Immediately, as your eyes kind of adjust from the darkness of the murder arc to the brightness of where you are, you see that you are surrounded on three sides by sheer cliffs. Immediately south of you, you can see the crumbling remnants of a bridge and the glowing, oppressive source of the heat that is a 60-foot wide flow of lava, and behind you is a tumble of massive boulders and rocks just to the north, which would normally be an open pass, but seems to have been deliberately blockaded. In the distance, in the not too far distance, your ears, it kind of echoes along the cavern or the canyon walls a little bit, but you know it's relatively close. Within a few hundred yards, you can hear a thunderous booming that literally sounds like thunder, but it has a metallic ring to it, and it has a repetition to it.
Beautiful. So as the teleportation would finish, Brunhild fills that crack deep into her core. Now, one of Brunhild's greatest flaws is the fact that she is, in no uncertain terms, a very arrogant woman. She believes that her way is the proper way, that she knows how to hunt, that she never fails, and when she does, well, this is one of those circumstances. You see, when Brunhild failed, when this teleport got to her, she was still thinking about the civilization, the weakness that Torchwood might present, the danger that this Yuri fellow might offer to the mission. But the moment that pain hits her, it changes something in her mind. You see, when Brunhild is hurt, she knows that things need to be serious. She treats it as a reminder of what's at stake. So as they land, Cragfall, you will notice that Brunhild's breathing is just a bit different because you fought side by side with her many times. The other two probably will not notice this. And you know that this rhythm to her breathing is a sign of pain. But you also know that it's good. Because you know that if Brunhild is in pain, then she is focused, and that when she is focused, she is a true predator. And that you could probably surmise as well, Cragfall, that as you see Brunhild reach up and remove the amulet from her neck and just drop it to the ground, from the gleam in her eyes, that there's probably no other member of Onslaught who you'd probably rather have at your back than a focused Brunhild.
Brunhild, when you look like that, you make me want to rage and get ready for battle. But let us find out what is happening first. Then we rage, go into battle, and kill everything.
You see the barest flicker of a smile. Yes, I do agree. The hunt must begin.
And I grip my maul a bit tight and giving a few practice swings. An interesting thing about Ram's Bane is that there are actually small holes that have been put into the head of the maul, and swinging it around, you can actually hear what sounds like a ram that is bleeding in charge, just swing it around and getting ready. All right, gentlemen and Brunhild, we have come here to eat a hearty meal and to kill something. I don't know about the rest of you, but I ate a good breakfast. Let's go kill something. And I go taking off towards what I can think of is whatever sounds at the from any excavation or anything to that effect.
Yori follows and says, "Follow the Alpha. Come in."
Torchwood is the last to arrive from the teleportation, and you see his flesh and the blue flames of the teleportation just sort of flicker off of his body, and it looks as though he just came out of the hottest kiln as it steams off of his shoulders and off of his body, and he looks to the rest of them as they run toward whatever might be. And he takes a moment to collect himself, to look over all of his glorious, like all of his little contraptions. And he just sort of fixes them for a minute, looks at them, looks at the group. I believe that I am ready as well. Whatever may be here, may it be ready to burn.
Cragfall, as you took off running, you only have to go about 100 feet, 150 feet, and you're at a bridge, the remnants of a bridge. Big chunks of it have been knocked off. The bridge stretches across about a 70 to 100 foot wide, actively flowing river of molten rock, glowing hot magma. And there's a big stretch 3/4 of the way across the bridge that has been completely knocked out and is about 10 to 15 feet across to the other side. But when you get to this bridge, the sounds become less echoey from the canyon you were just in. And you can hear, along with the tremendous thunder crack and clang, clang, rhythmic sound of heavy metal hitting on heavy metal, you can hear the sounds of two giant voices calling out, "You almost have it! It's almost there! This one is almost done!" And you can see at this point to the southeast, Mount Sullivan Thayer is not a large mountain, is not a large volcano, but it is an angry volcano. And about little over halfway up the face of this volcano, there's an excavated pathway that kind of winds its way through a couple switchbacks. And jutting out from an excavation area, you can see an onyx and copper structure of some sort. It is before this structure, which is more than 50 feet across, that the massive fire giant, brother and sister, are standing before it. The male fire giant stands slightly back as the female is swinging a massive copper maul and striking something in front of this onyx and copper structure. And with every clang as this maul comes down on whatever it is that she's hitting, there's an accompanying sound of thunder that rumbles across, and you can feel it even in your feet, and you see the sparks flying, and you can see bits and pieces of something flying that her massive bulk seems to be blocking, and littered all along the path at the base of where this excavation site is are pieces of some sort of copper construct. and this whole path is just littered with it. And this is what you see before you. So, what are you guys going to do?
So you said 10, 15 feet gap between the bridge and the other side of the cliff?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So Brunhild is running right there behind Cragfall. She always lets him take point because he's the burlier of the two, and because, again, she moves like a wolf. She's crouching as she's running. She's making sure of every little detail to ensure there's no ambush, as there's nothing surprising about to happen. As she gets to the edge of the bridge, and she's been running this entire time, she is going to make a long jump, which means she can jump essentially 20 feet when she does so. And you see her catapulting from the edge of the destroyed bridge and landing in a crouch on the other side. The moment she lands, she looks back over to see what the other two are doing, the other three, her companions, are doing, namely Torchwood, who she has doubts about having the strength to be able to jump such a long distance.
Excellent. How are the rest of you crossing this gap?
I would probably jump, just take a run and leap across. I don't know. I guess I'd have to make probably an athletics roll for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, I believe all of you should be able to. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what your athletic skills are, but if you're running at a full tilt, that should be. I mean, it's pretty smooth stone. You should be able to make that jump, unless there's a reason you wouldn't be able to.
Actually, just for the hell of it. Yeah, I go running full bore and just leaping off. I'm almost using my arms as the momentum to kind of pull myself through the air, and I leap onto the stone. I start sliding on the stone. The Ramsbane kind of like leaning out, kind of balancing me as I'm sliding, and I rush back to the edge of the other side, awaiting the others in case I need to grab one of them.
Yori is going he's taking a long jump, so he's taking his time. Okay, the Alpha is already there. He's taking his jump and can jump 11 feet or so, in a go. I think it's okay. It's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he goes straight to the other side. It's quite a feat for him. He's not very muscular. He's quite wide. He's burly, but not very muscular. So, yeah. Done.
Okay, so how far is the jump?
The jump's probably about, we'll say it's 12 feet or so.
12 feet. Okay. So I should be able to. Okay, so you see Torchwood. I mean, he looks across at Brunhild, and he sees her eyes, and for a moment, he remembers having a sister. He remembers having a sister before the Lich Fiends came. Before they came and destroyed his home. And that sort of sibling rivalry burns in his chest, the remembrance of his elven sister. And just to prove her wrong, you see his lithe elven legs sort of grab his staff. Like he begins to grab his staff as a mounting, and just pole vaults himself, sticking it into the ground and jumping forward as he launches himself toward the other side of this ravine. And I'm assuming
And
do we need to roll for that or just?
Nope, it's just a long jump.
Oh yeah, so it
Nope.
was just a long jump. Okay, I
Yep.
didn't know.
Nope, you're fine.
All right.
However, as you vault over this gap,
Okay.
your staff locks into the stone, and you just effortlessly just launch yourself with your staff over this gap. And as your feet hit the ground on the other side, your eyes locked on Brunhild this whole time. The exact moment that your feet hit the ground, the giant's hammer strikes against the front of this vault, and the resounding thunder sends a tremor through the entire mountain and canyon floor. And almost as if perfectly timed, as if your landing is what causes the tremor, it's accompanied by this, and the very ground begins to tremor, and everybody needs to make a dexterity saving throw. And I need to switch my headphones real quick. Okay. Oh.
So okay, would you mind if I narrate this real quick? Because here's what I imagine. Okay, you see him, and he turns to Brunhild like super excited that he made this jump. Like, see, I told you I could make. The thunderous wave like shocks him backwards, and as he's mid speaking, just flung back off of himself, and he is tumbling like a tumbleweed toward the end of the ravine, trying to catch himself with this staff.
So, and as that happens, as you're trying to catch yourself, a portion of the ground just heaves up. The ground actually splinters and sends you sprawling, and sends Yuri sprawling. Cragmaul and Brunhild, you manage to keep your footing, but Yuri and Torchwood, you guys are knocked prone, and you take 12 points of bludgeoning damage as you hit the ground, or the ground rises and hits you.
Noted.
So Brunhild was smiling, right, as Torchwood hit the ground, a smile of approval. He had shown a feat that she had not expected, and she had saw value in his martial ability for just a moment, because seconds later, he goes falling to the ground as he described, and as you described, the rock meets up, and her smile doesn't dim. She just looks away from him into Cragfall, and she says, "We must continue."
Ouch.
And if you guys look up, as you look up to your objective, to the where the fire giants were, or rather are, I want to have, as Yuri and Torchwood are picking themselves up, I want to have Cragmaul and Brunhild, if you guys want to make a history check, please. I'll even allow Arcana if that works better for you. Which works better for the barbarian?
Let me think. Neither, actually. Funny enough. Yeah, this is what I got. So I really don't think that's going to do much.
All right. as you're picking yourself up and you're looking to continue forward, you hear and perhaps see as you're looking up at where these giants are, that the male has turned around and is looking down. He's probably a good 100 feet elevated up this pathway. And he looks down and he points down at you with a massive great sword. And he goes, "Hey! This should not be here!" And he turns around and he goes, "One more good crack should get it. I will deal with this." And he begins running down the pathway towards you, his footsteps thundering.
Cragfall, I would quickly turn back to the rest of my compatriots. Say, "Don't worry. The best thing about fighting a giant, they're a big target and easy to hit." And then I will start to rage, and then the jackal bite, which has been black tattoos across my arms and face and body, will start to heat up and start to glow and turn from black to molten copper, and I begin to so I just begin to pre-fight rage. Can that can be a thing?
Yes. And at this point, I want Torchwood and Yuri, as you've picked yourself up off the ground and you see this giant rushing down, I want you guys each to make a history or arcana check.
Okay.
Jeez, you guys, I didn't make my numbers for initiative go all the way down that low, because I didn't think you guys would roll that low.
22 Arcana.
Mike, I need a initiative roll in the chat from you. So both of you, geez. Okay. Both Yuri and Torchwood, as this giant begins running down and he's kicking some of these pieces of whatever this copper and metallic litter is all over the place. And as he moves, you can get a better look of what it is that the female giant is smashing. And what you see are two massive vault doors also in onyx and copper. And one is still standing, and you begin to realize that the pieces that are scattered across this pathway are the remnants of Villanavi, the mechanical and arcanical constructs that you know are, as far as you know, this is the first they've ever been seen above ground. They are part of the living infinite lock mechanism of the Deep Vault. And there is no reason that you can think of, Torchwood, that these should be above ground. And Yuri, you begin to perhaps feel a little twinge of something, and perhaps begin to get a better idea of maybe why you were called onto this mission. Because the makeup of this vault you have learned about, and you may recall from your initiation rites to become a member of the chapter of the Spine of the Old Veil, which required you to do a very particular act.
Yeah, to contact the spirit of a long lost and forgotten creature who kills dragons, Typhon. Maybe that's what we are gonna stop. Maybe from releasing a dragon, maybe.
And is this male giant closes the distance and raises his greatsword to engage you. You see, not only are the pieces on the ground the remnants of a Villanavi, only one or two more blows from this female, with which you both also now recognize she is wielding a relic of the Titans themselves. She is wielding a genuine Titan hammer, a Vostek hammer. And with it, she is decimating, destroying, demolishing these Villanavi guardians on this vault. And it's only going to take a couple more strikes, and she's going to have the vault broken. And with that, the giant has closed the distance to you. And Torchwood, what are you going to do?
Seeing all
I say close the distance. He's about 15 feet away from you guys. Sorry.
seeing this begin to happen, Torchwood has a moment of reflection as he sees this giant fire giant just rushing toward him. He remembers what it was like in the village as a teenager, seeing the Lich Fiends, these monstrous creatures, come to his home and the fight that the elves put up against them. And it burns in him so powerfully, in fact, that the ash begins to flake away. It begins to fall apart, but there is still black skin below the surface, and that black skin is then lit up like a Christmas tree with sheer just veins that look like trees and leaves and branches as they go through his face, his neck, his back. The entire vicinity of his body turns into a railway of copper veins. They have taken my home. They have taken my lineage. I shall not see another race or another people be destroyed in my presence. And upon doing that, I'm actually going to do a couple of things. I would like to cast Ray of... So what I'm going to do, you see... I got it. Okay. You see him, and he starts to actually spew out mist from his mouth. It's almost like his body's becoming colder, even though it looks like he's getting hotter. And in the moment, his hand becomes nothing but like a shard of ice. And he flings forth a ball, spiraling toward the face of this giant, and it just grows into a massive ball of frost as I blast him in the face with this ray of frost, and I'm going to do 3d8 damage to this dude's face.
All right. I believe that's a ranged spell attack.
Yep. Okay, so 17 points of just frost damage, just echoing and emanating. And then I have to roll to hit, right? I rolled my damage.
Roll to hit. That's 17 if you hit.
So it's whatever I roll plus what for that? Plus my
Your spell attack modifier.
proficiency plus intelligence. Okay. So plus 5 and so 19 to hit.
That hits.
All right. So then it's going to be 17 points of damage just going up against this dude's face. So I imagine it hits, and then just crystal and ice sort of steams off of this thing's face as it's charging forward.
Yeah, his vision for just a moment, it doesn't blind him or anything, but it's just that. It hits and almost instantly turns to steam, and it just rises up from his chest into his face. And you can see that he kind of slows down, and he's still barreling forward, but he can't quite see from the steam that has risen from this direct hit. So the next attack on him will have advantage. And is there anything else you can do, Torchwood?
Actually, I could. I think, based on the fact that I have Eminence Focus, I can do a bonus action. And let's see, Eminence Focus, I believe, I can do a bonus attack. So, I'm gonna fire 2, right? And I'm gonna go again to try to hit another. I'm gonna use my Eminence Focus and try to just throw 2 back to back. So here's the second one.
This one's with advantage.
This one's with advantage. Okay.
Yep.
So that's going to definitely be a hit, because that's going to be 16 plus 5. That's going to be 20 something to hit.
Yep.
Okay. And then 1, 2, 8, 16 points of damage.
All right.
So another 16. So he just basically gets 2 snowballs to the eyes. Just.
2 solid hits with Ray of Frost. And Cragfall, Torchwood has primed the Fire Giant for your attack.
Excellent. The first thing I do is I don't just get angry. Like, seeing what's going on, I begin to get even more and more raged, and I use my bonus action to go into a frenzied rage. I just run up, and the first thing I do is I just come up and then straight down with my maul. And I'm using the feat Great Weapon Master, so I take a -5 to hit, but I gain a +10 damage. So, which I have advantage on. And can I show you something? Is that okay? You guys want to go for a little trip? Want to go for a little trip? Hey.
I like it when you show me your dice.
Yeah. Look at that. First, can you guys see that? What does that say? Oh, look at that. Wait, you want to hear the best? You want to see the best part? Best part isn't. Oh, look what I just rolled on that one. Say what?
Man, 2 natural ones, Mike?
You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. You know, Mark,
setting the battle precedence.
I've always liked you the least. Anyway, so for that, one of my just double check here. Yeah. So for one of my feats as a barbarian is called a brutal crit, which means I add additional dice on top of the dice that I will already be rolling for a crit. Now, I assume you roll double dice for a crit, or you...
Double dice, add modifiers, yep.
All right, so you'll have to excuse me because I don't have enough d8s for this, so I'll be rolling 6 d8s in total, so I'm just going to... Hang on. 16, 20... 20, 31, 51. So I come straight down with this maul, and I'm leaping up in the air, right down, right onto his knee, just the audible snap as I do 51 points of damage on this crazy son of a bitch. And now, of course, that was my first attack, because I attacked twice. I have advantage on that attack. This will not be with Great Weapon Master. Thank goodness, because I only got a 23.
That's still a hit.
Very nice. And that's for another 16 points of damage. As I come back off the knee, I kind of use his the bones in his knee kind of as a springboard as I kind of shift a bit and smash into his shin, just laying right into this one giant's leg to try and hobble him. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
That's quite the epic attack. Brunhild, you get to follow that up.
How far away is the second giant for reference?
She is, from where you guys have engaged, I would say about 150 feet.
All right. Brunhild reaches up to the cloak she wears around her shoulders, that black wolf cloak, and she unbuckles the clasp. And as she does so, it falls along with all the climbing equipment and explorer's equipment that she keeps on her person sewn into that coat. And it hits the ground with a clunk and a thud, and she rolls her naked shoulders. You can hear them cracking, the cinders popping. You can see the tattoos along her biceps. She rolls her neck as well, and you can see these two long swords strapped to her back, both of the hilts going over her left shoulder. You see the two daggers on her right hip, the two hand axes on her left hip. Her eyes close, and you can see the light emanating from her mouth. You can see the outline of every single tooth, sharpened as a spearhead through her cheeks and her lips, all copper in color. And when her eyes open, they are glistening like a canine's. And then the camera switches. It switches behind Cragfall, who is swinging and breaking and destroying this giant he's facing. And Cragfall hears an explosion of howls behind him. Not a single wolf howl, no, but dozens, an entire pack. He knows what that sound is. He knows that Brunhild is officially on the hunt. And that knowledge is confirmed, as if he were to look over his shoulder, he would see Brunhild flying past him, both of those swords drawn, falling again and again and again into this giant. I'm going to make my 2 attacks, and then one more with the dual-rolled feat, so that's 3 attacks total. Alright, and let's see here. My lowest is going to be a 17. Is that hitting?
17 misses.
17 misses. Okay, the next highest is a 19.
That's a hit.
And then the next is above a 20. So, okay. So as these blows are just coming in again and again, finding purchase where Cragfall's hammer is loosening up the armor and bruising the skin, she's going to do a total of, let me roll that real quick. I should have pre-rolled this. All right, that's going to be 7, 11. 11 plus 10, that's going to be 20. 1 plus another 2, that's going to be 23. And then plus another d8, that's going to be 31 points of damage total. And then it also has to make a Constitution. Let me double check that real quick, actually. Yeah, Constitution saving throw. The DC he's looking at is 16.
I rolled a 7 plus 10. That's a 17.
All right. So I'm not going to describe that thing. I'll describe it when it does kick into effect. So that's going to end her turn.
And as you come in in a fury, immediately following Cragfall's brutal attack, and the giant, despite these wounds being opened up, and despite his obviously broken leg, he's still standing. But he stopped moving forward. But that isn't a problem for a 15-foot giant wielding a greatsword that's at least 2/3 his own height. And he just looks down at the two of you that are on top of him and have just unleashed the most holy hell on him. And he raises his greatsword, and first he swings it down at Brunhild. And that is going to be a 25 to hit.
Hit.
As this great sword, you can hear it cutting through as it whistles as it cuts through the air. Sailing down towards you. Oh, that's a lot of sixes. 2, 25, 27. Dealing 34 points of slashing damage as it cuts across you. The whistling sound of this great sword barely breaks its sound as he arcs the sword back around toward Cragfall. And he's not even looking at you, Cragfall. He's looking at the hammer that you wield. As he brings this down with a 26 to hit.
That's going to hit.
Dealing 26 points of slashing damage. And the greatsword finally stops making its song through the air, seeming to have been dulled as it's been wetted with both of your blood. And behind him and up on the hill from the excavation site, you hear another metallic clang and a tremendous ringing of thunder, and more copper pieces go flying as the other giant is still working on this vault. And we are at the top of the order. Which is Torchwood.
I didn't play it yet.
Oh, yeah.
I skipped right over you. Hold on. I knew something didn't seem right.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm sorry about that. Let me
He
go
had a
back.
2 on his
What was
initiative.
your...
2. He had a 2, I think, or 3. 2 or 3.
That's why, because you go right after the giants. So yes. So I didn't skip you yet. We're saving the best for last. Yuri,
Nice save,
how do
champ.
you react? Yuri, how do you react as this vault takes another strike and this giant has just ripped open
We need to stop.
your friends?
We need to stop her. I get up and I see her, and she's like 100 feet away. You said.
The female is 150 feet away.
50. Okay.
150.
Okay. Okay. In that case, I need 50. Yeah. Okay. We need to kill the giant as soon as possible, and I say, thunder, lightning, eat my car, and I cast car lightning at 4th level spell, and I send a lightning bolt at the giant, battling with Crackfall and Burhin. DC 17 of dexterity saving throw.
And with a 15, that is a fail.
Okay, he gets 4d10 of lightning damage. Not bad. 26 lightning damage. And just to be sure, is the sky normal, or it's not a storm? You didn't say that.
The giant.
The sky.
The sky.
Oh, the sky.
Yeah.
Right now, the sky seems, it's normal. It's midday. There is some smoking coming out of the volcano that's creating some unnatural clouds.
Okay. That's okay. So in that case, Yuri got up and cast a spell, Eye in the Sky, and you saw the copper jackal on his forearm switch to a R symbol, and his run is done now.
And with that, we are back to Torchwood.
Torchwood. Upon seeing the just the cacophony of damage that like his two barbaric brethren have just decimated, and how they've just started to throw. How Yuri threw that spell, he thinks to himself, yes, this is a good idea. The longer we can keep her distracted, the better. And so you see that, let's see if I can do this. I want to check. I'm pretty sure I can. Okay. So he begins to run towards. How far away is that, by the way, Jake? How far away is the door? I mean, would you say from us to that?
150 feet.
150 feet. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. I think I can. He runs up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, you see him just stick his hand out. He runs up about that 30 feet, and then he starts to stick his hand out. As they're dealing with the giant, he's focused on her and her alone, and his hand glows with veins along the inside, and it just begins to pour out this fog-like smoke, which begins to engulf the entire canyon, about 120 feet of just pure fog-like smoke begins to pour from this man's hand. I will not let you finish your duties. You will not get what you want from this. And he's casting fog cloud to cover the entire area that she's pretty much in, obscuring her from being able to see properly, being able to strike clearly, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So basically, the whole area where the vault is and where she's attacking the Villanavi Guardian is now completely obscured, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I believe that lasts for. I wrote it down here. I'm pretty sure for the duration of the fight.
All right.
Yep.
Or until you dismiss it, I believe.
Or until I dismiss it, yeah.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, I think that's where I'm gonna end my turn for right now.
Cragfall.
Seeing Cragfall's work, especially on his left leg, he turns to the rest of his body and he just unleashes, just striking anywhere. I mean, a giant is such a big target, and all he wants to do is just hit every area, every soft part, every vital organ, every bone, every joint, and he will make 3 attacks with advantage. Okay, well, that one hits because natural 19 makes 34. Excuse me, 33. So we'll just pretend that one hit. And that's for 18 damage. The second one is 31. So that hits for 17 damage. And the third one, I haven't rolled yet, I'm also going to use the Great Weapon Master feat. That's a 22. That hits.
Still a hit.
All right. And that is a 25 damage on that last one. So basically, he just softens up. You know, after going, he just comes straight over, hits straight in the stomach, like kind of just below the abs. Strikes there, and then comes back, almost using the momentum of the maul swings back down and actually comes straight down on his right foot, like straight down with all of his might, just smashing that right foot to try and like keep him from being able to move around. And as the giant just kind of rears back, he actually kind of rolls back underneath and behind him, and then just like comes straight up in a heavy blow right to his lower back to try and like break that spine. And that is where we will end that off.
And you actually, with that awesome description, as your giant ram's head maul crashes into his gut, the upward force, you feel and hear several ribs shattering. Your momentum carries it around, breaking the foot of the leg you already broke. And as you're rolling around, he's already toppling like a building, imploding from the bottom, as all of his support bones in that side are just imploding on themselves. And you hit right in the small of his back. And as you hit it, you feel the vertebrae shatter. You know that you've driven your maul almost all the way through to the front side of him, shattering and severing his spinal cord as he drops to the ground, paralyzed. And if he's not dead now, he will be soon.
And then, still in a blinding rage, I'm just ready to basically keep hitting him until he's just a liquid smear. And I'm ending my turn.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you pretty much just dropped him at this point. If you wanna do that, your rage is just carrying it until all your striking is ground. No, just muddy earth that's turned to mud with the blood, the mist that you've created from just wailing on the downed corpse of this giant.
Nice. And then I just final blow, just up, straight down, almost using my wrists and my momentum to snap them all forward, just like pushing his head straight into that stony ground. And I kind of like, I don't even pull them all out. I just drag them all through the like broken part of his skull and stare at the other giant. Come, brothers and sisters, there is more. And I begin to kind of point myself in the direction of the second giant.
That's awesome. So yeah, that first giant is now nothing more than a bloody smear on the ground. As Brunhild, it is your turn, and where the other the female giant was wailing on the vault has now been shrouded in cloud, in fog and smoke.
So, with that initial shot from the first giant, from his massive sword landed on top of Brunhild, she didn't even buckle to so much as a single knee, but it did rock her back, and blood spurted from her nose, from her teeth, even from an opening gash on her forehead, and for just a bare sliver of a second, consciousness almost faded. But again, that sister giant was hitting the door, and that crack of thunder from hammer hitting the vault brought Brunhild back, her eyes opening again and those wolf-like irises focusing on that fog-encrusted area. And she homes in on it like a wolf does its prey. Even before Cragfall has time to finish off the giant, she is gone. And when I say Brunhild is gone, she is truly, honestly gone. Few people in all of Onslaught can move as fast as she can when she is on the prowl. Brunhild moves a total of 160 feet, moving her full 40 feet, and then, 120 feet, excuse me. 120 feet, dashing twice, once using a bonus action, and then just moving her full 40 feet as well. And she's just exploding across the terrain, leaping over little small rivulets of magma, jumping off of cracking boulders, both swords at her side as she quickly moves into this now fog-shrouded giant. And that's going to end her turn.
Awesome. So, as you run up there and you close the distance and you're running into the fog that enshrouds this female giant, you hear the cursing of this female giant as the fog had enshrouded her, and obviously she's struggling to see even the very target in front of her face. Torchwood, what level did you cast Fog Cloud at?
You muted, Chad.
Thank you. Let me see here. I cast Fog Cloud at, I believe it was a level 1, so I don't know how long that's going to...
Second level.
Yeah, so it's a second level spell.
Okay. So as you get up there, Brunhild, and you're kind of preparing to engage this giant in this now obscured area, and you're concentrating Torchwood on this spell, you feel the disruption in your magic
Okay.
as the cloud dissipates. And just parting, like centered on where the giant is. And even Brunhild, you can see almost the surprise. At this point, you can see almost the surprise on the female giant's face as she was kind of looking around in confusion. And she sees you. And she raises this great copper hammer, this Vostek Titan hammer. But she doesn't swing it at you. She spins and brings it into contact with the shattering Villanavi Guardian that is in front of this door. And as it connects, you hear this metallic ring that you've been hearing echo through the valley, immediately accompanied by an additional crack of thunder emanating directly from the head of this hammer. And it doesn't even pause this time as it connects with the Villanavi Guardian. It passes right through it, and the pieces of the Villanavi Guardian fall to the ground at the feet of this giant. At that moment, the last guardian of this vault has been shattered, and the thunder that had been dissipating across the valley seems to shake the very ground. And this is more forceful than even the previous earth tremor that you felt. This is the rumble of the mountain, the volcano Solabane Thyr, bursting to life as it erupts. I need everybody to make a Constitution save. As this mountain seems to almost raise up out of the earth several feet as it regurgitates the molten rock within its very bowels. Cragfall, Brunhild, and Torchwood, you all manage to maintain your footing, but are pummeled by surging earth, and you each take 10 points of bludgeoning damage. Yuri, the earth, just a jagged rock, 12 feet high, just pushes out of the earth at your feet and almost flips you over and slams you down onto the ground with pieces of rock pummeling you as you're knocked prone, and you take 21 points of bludgeoning damage. And from your vantage point on your back, now looking up, you can see the thick volcanic ash and just massive flaming boulders of earth, more gargantuan than these very giants that you were fighting, launched hundreds of feet in the air. And you know that it won't be long before these now almost like meteors begin storming down to the earth around you.
We failed.
And it is your turn, Yuri.
I will get back up again and start to dash. I will do a dash action and try to get back as soon as possible to my companions on the top of the mountain to rejoin the Purind. And yeah, that's what I will do.
Excellent.
As soon as Yuri comes up and comes into focus, I would probably see that he is injured, and I'd quickly reach into my pack and kind of, in his hand, I would kind of clasp just like a vial. Here, my friend, get yourself healed up, and then we can go back to more killing, huh? And I kind of slap him on the shoulder and kind of nearly bowl him over again. Brunhild, you never bring healing potions with you. And I throw her a healing potion as well.
Excellent.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
And so the one fire giant, she's nowhere to be seen. She's still there.
Oh, she's right there in front of Brunhilde at the door, just having unleashed or destroyed this this last guardian, and what seems to have also caused the volcano to erupt. She did not get knocked to her feet. She's standing there, and she's actually standing with her back to you guys, and she is looking not even up at the volcano that's erupting, but she is looking at the now unguarded doors of this vault as if waiting for something to happen, which the eruption has caused them to kind of open slightly. And it is Torchwood's turn.
So upon seeing this, Torchwood gets this sense of fear in his eyes. This sort of fear that he hasn't felt in quite a long time. And immediately everything that he is kind of balls up. And he looks to the skies. And you see him sort of plant his staff down into the ground. Yovashan, brothers, sisters, the Ashenborn, I ask only to prevent another tragedy. And he slams the staff down on the ground, and with that he jolts up into the sky, just flying 60 feet. He begins to fly towards, at 60 feet he flies into the air and just sort of hovers there and then flies towards the door as if to say, I will be the last stance, the last bastion before you get through this door. As he Well,
Sorry,
Would
you
you-
missed my awesome. I was muted.
okay.
Yeah, I was just going awesome. That's all. The last thing I expected was for you to fly. Is that all you're doing? As if that's not enough.
Well, I'm trying to see if I have ability to maybe cast a bonus spell, but I don't know if I think the Eminence Focus was only a one-time thing. I don't think I can use that until I use a long rest. So, other than that, I don't think I have the ability to do that. But I do have a weapon. Could I land and then try to strike her?
Does it take an action for you to get into the air like that? I think.
Yeah, I would take an action to get in the air.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm moving and flying. So yeah, no, I'm done.
Yeah. You'll have to wait till the next turn to do that. So,
Okay.
But that's still awesome. Cragfall. It's your up. And the giant has her back to you.
Still feeling the frenzy. I am going to rush up and just start smashing her in the back, trying to... You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought, I just ran and sprung a trap, and now Taraska's there. Hey.
No.
That's
That was a
good.
bad dice roll. That was a bad dice roll in your guys' favor. Sorry.
That was,
I didn't mean to disrupt your flow.
That's cool, man. So, I'll just start
Bashing away.
bashing away. One hit.
Yeah, that's all with advantage.
Yep, one hit. 2 hit. And the third one is going to be with the Great Weapon Master. And third one, so that's the third one is a 25, so basically we're good. So 2, 4. Okay, there we go. Okay, so 11, 12, 15.
Calculus class with Mike the Piper.
I know, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I joined construction so I could do only the simple math.
That's the trouble with these high-level games. Lots of dice math.
Oh, I know. Okay, so with all the rolls, the first roll is going to be 17 damage. Next one's going to be 19 damage. And the third one is going to be 32 damage.
Jeez.
And then Cragfall is probably going to go to where the coffee table is, can probably stand there, have an espresso, and he's going to think about his life.
All right, and Brunhild, you follow up immediately on there, so if you want to go ahead and narrate.
So,
All right.
here's how I imagine things looking, just from Brunhild's perspective. The eruption of the volcano, her eyes immediately go upwards, and you just see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of rock flying into the air, joining this massive thundercloud of volcanic ash and lava towering above them all. But as the shadow falls over them, Brunhild's eyes and her copper fangs are still glowing, even as the darkness begins to claim this side of the mountain. As her eyes fall back down, she sees Cragfall joining the melee, and she sees his hammer falling again and again and again. And she's taking careful note of every point that he hits, because she knows that those will be the weakest points on the back of this giant. She lifts her left sword into the air, and she swings it down once. And as she does so, the blood covering it, her own blood, explodes outwards, and it curves around the top of the blade and doubles its length as she applies her crimson right to it, the right of the predator. And as she does so, she leaps forward just as Cragfall is swinging. And the right of the player, the first of the twin apexes unleashed, sinks into that point where his first hammer meets. And when she pulls it out, you can see festering blood in the wound, turning black from the poisonous nature. And she swings her second unbloodied blade again, carving deeper and deeper and deeper into the muscle through sinew and bone. And she's just swinging again and again, back to back with Cragfall, following up every strike that he swings. And that was a total of 41 points of damage.
That's freaking amazing. That's why I love you guys. I don't have to hardly do anything and just let you tell the story. Sorry. I'm so excited I'm tearing my desk apart. So, as you guys are tag teaming this giant from... Okay, sorry, I'm not going to word it that way. As you guys are coordinating your attacks on this giant, as she has her back turned to you... That was for Nelson. Not only are you ripping her apart, taking full advantage of her distracted attention, her cloak that she's kind of wearing over the back of her armor is getting shredded. And you see, as you begin making these almost surgical strikes, that you're hitting against a couple of bags that are hanging on this giant like pouches. There's about 3 of these that are hanging off of the belt, and they seem to be almost resistant as your sword passes by it and into these surgical points. But your last attack rips one of the bags open, and an impossibly large volume of metal detritus just hits the ground. Chunks of various metals that it takes you a moment to realize is a massive pile of dozens and dozens of swords and maces and hammers. And with that, it is... Why did I still not read that? Getting a roadblock down at the bottom of the initiative order here. Yuri, it's your go.
I am far from them, or I'm
You're close enough that you can reach them.
Okay.
Or yeah.
So in that case, and she's well blooded, you can see. She almost dead. So in that case, I will just I will send a flash freeze on her and using a spell frostbite, so she can do a Constitution saving throw DC 17.
And she fails that Constitution saving throw.
15 cold damage, and she will have disadvantage on melee weapons if she attacks my friends in the next round.
All right, that was 15, you said?
Yeah, and I will scream. Yuri will scream, "What have you done?" And screaming at the giant.
And as you scream,
yeah.
As you scream this, you're screaming, and as your attack kind of follows up the other two's attack, she finally turns around, and as she turns, more weapons are spilling from this what is obviously now a bag of holding that you have ripped open on her belt pouch. Just kind of continue to spill out. And she turns and kind of regards you all as if surprised to see any of you there, not even acknowledging the massive amounts of damage that you have done to her. And she opens her mouth as if to speak, when suddenly the vault doors burst open behind her, and I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw. And that includes... Okay. Yeah, she fails. Yuri and Cragfall, you are knocked backwards by the force of the doors blowing open, and what force of energy comes flying out, and you are knocked prone, and you take 29 points of bludgeoning damage. And as you're looking up, you see this massive shadow swirl out of the open vault doors and kind of spirals up into the air directly above you. And what you see is almost draconic in nature. But Yuri, you would recognize this immediately as having communed with a version of one of these in your initiation. But this isn't any Typhon that has risen from the depths of this vault. This is a red prototyphon, one of the original prototypes of the Titans before the Typhons were unleashed on the world, all thought to have been destroyed. And this, you now know, is the secret that Dupree wanted to be kept secret. And you know that you need to destroy this prototyphon lest it be unleashed on the face of Dragon Grin. And as this prototyphon rises into the air, behind it, the volcanic ash and cloud has begun to ionize in the air, and you can see forks of lightning backlighting it. And some of these forks of lightning begin to streak down toward the ground, creating a sort of lightning storm around you. But it's more towards the top of the mountain, but they seem to almost be walking down. And Torchwood, you're up, buddy.
Okay. So, you see that Torchwood is sort of like hovering above this battlefield. He sees the doors fling open, his companions sort of sprawled out from the force. And he just stares at the doorway, seeing this horrific creature that he only believed was myth and legend. And it's almost both a moment of fear and awestruck as he stares at it. But he realizes that it can't escape. It can't be of this world, or the world will be completely destroyed. So he begins to fly down towards the battlement, directly at the face of this creature. As he holds himself to a stop about 40 or 50 feet from the door. He then... Yeah, okay. He then is going to launch out. He pulls a grenade-looking contraption from his armaments, and he looks at it, whispers an elven word, Aranath, Shalom, Lorenz, be with me and always. And then he throws the ball down towards the ground, and you just see this small little ball heading towards this. And what I'm using is called Udikin's Freezing Sphere. As I fling it at this creature, the ball begins to freeze and unleash the magic inside. And the freezing cold begins to look sort of like tendrils of flame and smoke as it ends up flying towards this creature. May ice burn you as the flames have burned me. And now I'm going to try to roll the hit.
All right.
Okay, hold on. Which here? That was the wrong one. I gotta grab my d20. Okay, so I roll 6 plus intelligence plus efficiency. So, 5. Yeah, it's not gonna hit, but 15 to hit. I imagine probably won't hit, but we'll see.
Well, I will tell you what happens after.
Okay. After the break? Oh no! You're gonna Dragon Ball Z me, man.
Thanks for saying something, Mike. I'm so into this, I wasn't even paying attention to the time. And we've been going for just over 2 hours, so I think this is a great point to take a break. So put whatever liquids in your body you need to, let it whatever liquids out you need to, and inhale what you need to.
Cool, because I
And
got some black tar heroin, but I gotta store it
Right.
outside. Yeah.
So we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so, and as these copper jackals finish off this giant and attempt to take down a prototyphon. All right, we'll be back here in a few minutes, guys. I want to thank everybody who's watching. We've had about 10 viewers consistently for the last 2 hours. So thanks everybody that's tuning in. This is going pretty awesome. I love seeing these guys in action, seeing the way that they're using these boons and these abilities of the jackals, and just seeing. This is the first time I've run such a high-level game, so I'm loving seeing how this is playing out, and I can't wait to see when we get back from the break how they deal with this prototyphon. So if you're here watching this and wondering what a copper jackal is, you need to head over to absolutetabletop.com and download the latest supplement, Copper Jackals, from them. You can pick it up for just a few bucks, and you will find out. I've been running this game through the Absolute Tabletop official group on Facebook, and you can also find me on facebook.com/mini-terrain-domain, where I post updates when I run games and for my other crafting videos. Stay tuned, because we will be back in just a few moments.
Woo!
I'm back. I don't think everybody else is. Mike's still doing his heroin. There's our friend Yuri. Matthew. Oh, I just lost Chad. I hope he can get reconnected back in. Matthew, how's it going, man? This is the first time you and I've played together. Are you muted? Because I can't hear you. I don't think it's me.
Okay.
Chad, can you speak?
I'm back. I think I'm
Okay, I
back.
can hear you.
Okay.
Matthew, I've lost your audio. Let me see if I can mute you. It doesn't show you as being muted, but I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah, your audio is not coming through. Well, at least this happens during the break.
I know, man. Like, and the one thing that was bothering me was I was thinking, man, okay, I really hope I don't have that one thing that happens, because a lot of times when I play games, my my connection gets like so choppy and jarry that I end up either falling out of the game or shutting down the game entirely because it's my game that I'm running, you know, and so it's like I have to reduce it down to just having the image by itself so that I can just do audio only.
You know, I'd been having spotty internet for a while, and I was worried. All right, Matthew, it looks like you dropped out and back in again.
And do you?
Your audio, your picture's jumping. I don't know if you're talking. I can't hear anything. Wonder if it's your connection.
Well, yeah, if you lower the audio and video like settings from like high res to lower, you can actually that'll do it. That'll save you. Even though it might be blurry, it'll be able to you'll be able to hear it.
And now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Right.
Don't know what happened, but it worked. So.
Okay. Well, and I was trying to make conversation while we wait for everybody else because I've played with the others.
Yeah.
With Marquise and Chad and Mike, but you and I have never played together before.
Yeah.
So I was trying to ask if you were having a good time, how you're liking it.
Yeah, I'm having a good time, and I'm a bit nervous, but I'm trying to be the best I can, and the other guys are really fun, and they're very into it, and I'm trying to be as into it as them, and it's very fun, yeah.
Well, you can have a better group of
I'll
guys
tell
to
you
play
one
with.
thing. I walked into this game, and
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I had my voice prepared for it. I had like intro stuff prepared for it, things like that. I had all this stuff like prepared in my head. But when you get into a game and you start a game, sometimes the prep that you had completely goes out the window, because that's exactly what happened to me. I sat at work and I was prepping all this stuff before I came here, and then when I sat down, everything was ready, and I blanked on my intro, so I had to make it up on the fly. I blanked on a bunch of the spell stuff that I was wanting to do for stuff like that, so I'm making that up on the fly. So it's a matter of, you know, just enjoying it and getting in the flow of things. A lot of times when I play games live, especially, it takes me like half the session. Like right now, I'm comfortable. I'm cool right after the break.
You know what? For me, it is like I had the same thing in my Siege game. You know, I had this great, like I had kind of had this idea about what was going to happen, and nope, just went totally in another direction, and I just kind of had to make everything up throughout that entire first session, kind of on the fly to kind of balance everything out. But
I have several notes highlighted and asterisked in my prep notes, and I've already missed like 3 of them. So it happens. You just kind of adjust on the fly, and like I said, you guys are doing all the heavy lifting. I'm just throwing things at you. You guys carry the story wonderfully.
I need more things. Give me more things to
I got some more things. I got some things for you.
I got things, man. I got so many things. You don't even know how many things I've got. You wait for it. 7 red dragons, 2 frost dragons, 7 liches. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be an enemy party. It's all happening. It's all happening right now.
I'll throw out my game plan. Mike just threw out a better one.
Dude,
was that 7 dragons?
No.
Hey, why don't you?
I think it was two flumps.
That's 8.
I think it was 2 flumps and a hobgoblin, if memory serves me correctly.
And a couple of modrons that spill out of the vault.
Oh yeah, well, Nash.
All right. Looks like we got everybody else back here, and we ended with Torchwood throwing a type of frost kind of a grenade at this prototyphon, which is kind of hovering in the air pretty much at about your level where you were flying, Torchwood. And you don't just miss, you actually see that as this arcanic grenade goes flying toward it, it gets pretty close to it, and as it was a short throw. You missed anyway, but you actually see that as it gets fairly close to this thing, that this arcanic grenade actually fizzles out. The energies that started to emanate from it just kind of fizzles, and this harmless trinket crashes to the ground below you. And I think I forgot to mention it for those of you that were engaging with the giant, that when this prototyphon burst out, that she was not sprawling about 30 feet away from the door and was knocked prone. As it is your turn, Cragfall. But she's in pretty bad shape too, from your guys' coordinated attack and from the force that knocked her forward.
Okay. I'm assuming at this point it's safe to say that a minute has passed between the start of combat with the other giant to now. I think that's very safe to say.
Sure.
Okay, so what I'll do is I will, again, seeing this creature like burst forth, it's just my rage has subsided, and I feel like I almost feel weak, like it's just draining, and like the copper has melted back to black again, and breathing heavily, I kind of look. Well, once more, dear friends, let us go. And I rage again, and it's a frenzied rage again into this. Actually, well, I guess it would just be a rage, because I think you need to do a second bonus action to actually be frenzied. I rage up again, and again the copper like just begins to like sing to life throughout my arms and shine again, and I rush to attack the other giant, and I smash in, And I'll roll for both of my attacks just to make things kind of simple. Okay, so one will hit and one probably will miss, because I'm assuming a 16 won't hit. Is that correct? Sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, I was saying those are, because she's prone, those attacks are with advantage.
Oh, I apologize. Then the first attack will definitely hit. The second attack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make with Great Weapon Master. And the second attack is a 20.
Also a hit.
All right, so first attack is a 22. Second attack is a 27. So the first attack, as she lays prone, is she on her back or is she on her stomach?
She's actually on her face.
On her face. Okay.
Yeah, she's face down.
So the first, like as she's laying down there prone on her stomach, I'll rush up and just smash down with my maul, kind of on her shoulder joint, the one that's either still holding her maul, and just come straight down. And then on the second attack, I'll just pick up the maul again, and then come slamming down on the back of her head. Again, for a total of, what was that, 48, 52? A whack of damage.
So your first attack shatters the hand that had been still holding on to the maul. And actually the maul kind of skitters away from her hand a little bit. And you crack into the back of her skull. And you feel what for any normal creature would have definitely caved in the skull. You hear and feel bone crack, but it doesn't quite kill her.
And then after that, I will end my turn.
All right. Am I good to go, or?
Yep.
All right.
Take it away.
So we're taking this back just a few seconds back before the doors opened. You see, Brunhild is a woman who was quite literally raised by wolves. She has an almost sixth sense, a danger sense, a predatory sense that lets her know when all hell is about to break loose. The hairs on the back of her neck are standing up, and her eyes turn from the bleeding molten giant in front of her to the doors that were just barely open. She crosses both blades before her arms before her defensively, as the doors explode, and all this smog and this smoke and this brimstone come flying out. The giant goes flipping over her, hand over ash, just basically bouncing along the crags and the rocks, and that thing comes out. That thing that she cannot even comprehend, a beast she has never hunted before. Both of her arms go limp beside her side, and she stands up tall, and her wolf-like eyes follow the thing as it flies into the air. Can you describe for me just one more time exactly what the proto-typhon looks like?
The prototyphon is draconic looking in nature. From what you've heard the stories of the long gone dragons, massive, almost lizard-like body, leathery wings spanning well over 100 feet. This prototyphon is a deep crimson, the kind of crimson that has the look of something that is old, decayed, and rotten. The leathery wings are tattered. In places you can see bone through, as this creature seems to be rotting on its own frame.
Right. So
you can see you actually can see also that there is, like, the lightning that is crackling behind it that there is a crackling red energy that seems to emanate from its eyes and its chest.
So as it's flying above her, how high?
Well, the thing flew about 80 feet into the air, but where it is in relation to where you guys are on the mountain, we'd say it's probably about 50 feet above you.
All right. So Brunhild is staring up, and she's seeing this thing being silhouetted, as you said, by the lightning. Now, rocks are still falling from the sky, and joining it now are just the little bits of rotting flesh from this typhon. In fact, a bit of that even falls directly on Brunhild's face, and she just nonchalantly reaches up and brushes it away with her hand. As she does so, she flicks her right sword, the second of the twin apexes, and again the blood surges out, and the second half of the blade becomes long and twisted, as now both of her true fangs are bared. And as the stones are falling, her eyes move down to the mountain sloping up. What Brunhild does next is simple. She explodes in the motion, ignoring the fact that Cragfall is killing off that last giant, and she wants to kind of race, like if she can, race up the cliffside and begin to climb the mountain to get in the position to simply jump and swing at this typhon flying in the air.
Absolutely. I love it.
Alright, so that's going to be her action, and is basically using the dash action to move up high enough to prepare for the hunt on the next turn.
Excellent. Fantastic. Yuri, it is your turn.
We must kill it, he says. Yuri gets up, and he says, Storm, eat my call once again. And Yuri disappear in a flash of air and whirlwind. I'm using wild shape to get to the shape of an air elemental in bonus action, and I'm flying straight to the Typhon, and I will attack him, and slamming some air in his face, in his chest, and trying to kill him once and for all.
Awesome.
Okay, 2 slam attack. Okay. 22. Does it hit?
It does.
Okay, we'll give you the first damage. Oh, max damage. So 21 bludgeoning damage, and it counts as magic because I'm a druid. So we'll do the second one, and getting again 22. So I will do the damage. Tell you, wow, it's quite high. 13 plus 5, 18. Magic again. And Yuri has disappeared in a flash of air and slamming part. In fact, in her elemental form is in his case, in his space, in whirling around him and smashing, and the wind is screaming, and that's where I will end my turn.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And it is now the Prototyphon's turn. At your feet, Cragfall, the female giant is struggling to get to her feet. And as the Prototyphon attacks, she rises unsteadily to her feet. And the Prototyphon, just flapping these leathery wings, having just been hammered by this attack of the druid wild shaping into air elemental, scans around, and it's looking at, surveying the battlefield before it, and its eyes lock on Torchwood. And you see its eyes begin crackling with an imminent energy. And a bright red ray of imminence shoots out from its eyes, and it is. Let's see what that is. Oh, this could be bad for you, Torchwood. I need you to make a strength saving throw. You're muted.
All right. I was just saying, that's lovely. That's just perfect. That's what I always wanted. Just how I planned it. The mage. Okay, here we go. Nice. 8. So I rolled an 8. Yay. That's a total of 9.
This is not going to be very good for you because you were, I believe, 60 feet in the air.
I believe, yeah, about 6 feet.
And we're gonna
I can fly in any.
Yeah, and you were actually flying toward the mountain.
Yeah, at a 60-foot speed too.
So yeah, and so you're not 60 feet above ground.
Oh, I can just go in speed.
Right. So you are gonna take some falling damage because as this eye ray hits you. I'm sorry, you cut out there for a minute.
I am currently hovering though, so yeah.
Yeah. So it hits you with a tremendous force, and you're knocked backwards.
Oh man.
You're sent sprawling through the air, and you actually lose altitude as you go skidding down into the side of the mountain. And you take 9 points of bludgeoning as you bounce off a couple rocks.
Okay. How much did the imminence?
You actually didn't take any damage from that. The damage was from being knocked out of the air.
Okay. I was expecting to be blown to smithereens. All right, I'll take that.
That could have been much worse. And that's not even its final form. As this is happening, the giant has risen to her feet. And she's looking to you, Cragfall. And she's looking as she raises her shattered and mangled hand that held the hammer. And she glances over at the hammer lying on the ground. And she just, without even looking, she reaches down and breaks off a chunk of rock at her feet in her left hand, and she just swings it down at you. And that is going to be a 15. So I think
that's really unfortunate. She missed. She whiffled.
Yeah. You can tell that the way she's swinging this rock, this is not her dominant hand at all. And it was a clumsy swing. She's also, you can see that one eye is actually focused on you, and the other eye is actually looking off in another direction. Not even looking, you can see it kind of wavering a bit from your blow to the back of her head. And it seemed to almost be a reflexive swing. And this is happening at the same time that the imminence hit force of the prototype and hit Torchwood, which was actually its legendary action and not even its regular attack. And it swoops down toward the ground where... Man, these dice do not like you, Torchwood. Where it knocked you to the ground, and it is going to attempt to make some multi-attack on you. So as it swoops down at you, its jaws begin snapping at the air for 24.
24 to hit, or
24 to hit.
24 to hit hits, for sure.
And you take 18 points of piercing damage as you feel its teeth bite into you.
Does the Typhon got a way to do that, or if he does, can I do an opportunity attack? And
Actually, that's a good point because you were right up there engaging it, right?
Yeah.
So it had to move past you. So why don't you go ahead, because it had to move past you in your elemental form to get to get down to him. So why don't you go ahead and make your opportunity attack?
Thanks. Yeah, it's a poor 12, so I guess it will hit. It will miss. So yeah.
All right. So you take the. What did I say? That was 18 points. I don't remember what I said. 18 points of piercing damage as its teeth bite into you, and it immediately brings its claws to bear on you. Excuse me. And you feel the force of it, and you can smell its rotten, stinking breath, Torchwood, from where it bit you. And as it releases you, its claws actually come in, and you kind of, when you hit, you kind of landed in between some rocks that were jutting up, and its claws are swiping at you, and they can't get to you. And in frustration and anger, it uses those same rocks. It kind of crumbles them, and you get pummeled with just like dust and pebble debris as it pushes off back into the air. And you feel the wind as its tail swishes past you, breaking another chunk of rock. But one thing you do notice from your vantage point on your back is moments ago when this volcano erupted and spewed chunks of molten rock, giant boulders that were afire, you see that they are now in their descent, and very soon will begin striking all around you guys. And it is your turn, Torchwood.
All right. So
It's about 30 feet above you now.
it's about 30 feet above me. I'm pretty much prone on the ground, right?
Yes.
All right. So you see me looking up at this creature, this dragon. I don't even want to call it a dragon. It's an abomination, much like the liches, much like the monstrosities, the aberrations, the things that he can't ever explain. And immediately he starts to look at his hands, look at his body. Just chunks of charred skin are flaking off of him and regenerating as you continue to as he continues to sit there. He looks at his hands. He looks at the gashing wounds that were delivered to him by this creature. Never again. I shall not see you harm anyone ever again. And to resolute himself, to stand himself back up, he grabs onto his staff and pulls himself up in the hole and puts his hand to his chest. As he does so, it's almost like watching lava flow. As he pushes his hands to his chest, and the tree that is lined in his chest, the copper, begins to emanate and pulsate around him. Nothing but like this shield of ash begins to grow on his skin, hardening almost like stone, to the point where he is just a boulder underneath this rubble with two sets of copper eyes staring back at this creature with all of the little copper runes glowing in it. I dare you to bite me now. And I'm casting shield to give myself +5 to AC.
Awesome.
So that would bring my AC up to 18. Yeah, 18. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. That's awesome. Cragfall.
Let's try this unmuted, shall we? Because reasons, because I can't seem to. So I will, seeing the giant just not quite dead, just really just makes me mad, and I will use a bonus action to go into a frenzied rage, and I will attack I'll attack the giant once. I will use Great Weapon Master. 19 for the win. So obviously a natural 19 will hit. So I'm not even gonna bother. And that will be 30 damage as I just come like straight across and just smash it like square into her chest. And this is, I mean, I hate to ask this in a metagame kind of format, but does that take her out?
It does indeed. It's.
So
I'll let you describe. I'll let you describe
Sure.
it, how it.
I can only see. Grabbing the hammer, I take it and I almost leap up and just smash it straight down into her chest, right at her heart. And I mean, if there was a camera just panning in, like an internal shot of her body and her system, you could see the ribs caving inward, piercing like 2 ribs right through her heart. And just the heart just disintegrating in a mass of blood and just everything just bleeding out, and quickly her body kind of tumbling back and dying. And with my with one of my reactions with my feat, Great Weapon Master, when I reduce an enemy to 0 HP, I can attack another enemy as a bonus action. And since I have a full attack still left in me, as I smash it in, it kind of just digs in a bit too, as she just collapses to the ground. And not having my weapon in my hand, I grab one of my javelins really quick, and I whip it over at the Proto Titan.
Nice.
Is it Titan or Typhon?
Typhon.
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 My apologies. I don't know why I keep thinking like Proto Titan. Maybe I've been playing too many JRPGs.
Well, they
Or
were
not.
created by the Titans.
Or not enough. Fair ball. Okay, and that will be a 31 to hit.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, man, dude.
You
good.
missed.
You hit that one and its ancestor.
Right on, right on. And that'll be a 14 damage.
Where does this javelin pierce in and stick into this prototyphon?
So almost as a reaction shot, pulling it, not even really aiming. I just launch it at this thing, and for some reason it actually like jabs straight in, just at its midsection, just inside where the where the leg joint meets the body, just above, and kind of piercing into whatever vitals that are there. And just like spitting on the ground, I go and I dig my maul, like just at this like kind of sickening crunching sound, pulling my maul out of the giant's chest, spitting on her body, and I just kind of get ready.
Awesome. And I want to rewind for a second because as you crush into this giant's chest, and that awesome, I love that awesome way you describe seeing it from the interior, the effect. I picture that almost happening like in 300, that you kind of in sped up action hit her, and then as she's lifted off the ground, the action goes to slow-mo. And as you see that shot of her ribs caving in and puncturing her heart and the blood filling the body cavity, the action speeds up again as she drops to the ground and you wheel around with this javelin and fling it into this prototype. And then the camera would pan down and you would see as her body still, the inertia carries it kind of sliding along the ground for a few feet. The other two bags that were on her back are shredded open from the jagged rocks that have been raised up, and her body almost lifts onto a mound of even more weapons, swords, daggers, knives, hammers, axes, dozens that spill out of these now ripped bags of holding. And as that javelin pierces into the prototyphon that is back in the air and almost level, Brunhild, what do you do?
The camera focuses in just over the wings of the dragon, and you can see maybe 10 feet above it on the cliff wall is Brunhild, hanging on to the cliff with just one hand on the stones, both the twin apexes still wielded. She's looking at the dragon. She smiles and she licks her lips, and the screen goes black. When the screen comes back on, you see a girl of maybe 8 years old in the middle of a giant forest, sprawling over the severe mountains. A wolf, easily the size of a grizzly bear for its dire wolf, approaches her, patting over snow, crunching it under its paws, and it licks her in the face, and blood is smeared from her chin to her eye. The screen goes black. When it comes back again, you see this girl, maybe just a few years older, running through the trees, a crude, almost stone axe in her hand. To each side of her, you see dozens and dozens of dire wolves as they're chasing prey through the mountains to hunt. And the screen goes black again, and then we see Brunhild jumping from the cliff. And as I'm narrating this, you see Brunhild falling in slow motion, both of the twin apexes, her swords aimed down towards this dragon, and you see little flecks of blood rising from them. For you see, Brunhild's full name is Brunhild of the Wolf Pack, for a very good reason. Each individual droplet of blood begins to glow copper, and then it begins to mutate as something emerges from it. A lot of somethings. You see 6, 12, 18, 32, more than that, spirits begin to appear from the blood drops, each one another direwolf. For you see, the pack is still with Brunhild, even now. And as she's descending with both of her fangs drawn, her and every single other direwolf is howling so loud that you can't even hear the erupting volcano above her. And you can't even see the falling boulders because there's just too many wolves descending on this dragon. And as she lands on it, her fangs and the fangs of every other wolf are going to sink into its right wing and try to completely destroy it and tear it to pieces, as she does a total of 74 points of damage to that single organ to try and down this bastard Typhon to the ground. Because there's one thing that Brunhild knows, and as something bleeds, she can kill it. And she has seen this Typhon bleed, and she will slaughter it.
I don't even want to say anything after that.
I'm going to quit the game.
Yeah, we're good here. Matter of fact, I think we the rest of us just walk off. We're just like, all right, Brunhild, you've got this. We're going to, we'll go relax.
Go back to the murder arc now.
So that's freaking awesome. And as this happens, and as this attack happens, focused on this wing, and the blood begins to spew For even though this prototyphon is a decayed artifact of the original Titans, it still bleeds its original blood, and that blood is now filling the air and almost turning to steam around you in the heat of this erupting volcano and the magma fields. And as these dire wolves dissipate into this cloud of steaming blood, you feel that wing completely sever away, break away from the prototyphon. And with your swords kind of locked into where this wing was, you easily ride the body of this prototyphon as it spirals down with only one wing now and begins spiraling down to the ground. And you weren't that high up to begin with as it crashes on where the vault was, and you kind of ride it as it slides down the face of this volcano and skids down. It is definitely not dead, but you have deprived it of one of its primary defenses and offenses, which is its power of flight, as it has now literally been brought down to your level for you to engage with it. And it is the prototyphon's turn. And it is going to... Brunhild, I need you to make a dexterity check, as it is going to just arc through its entire body, attempting to dislodge you from the back of this thing.
I fail with a 5.
And you go flying. You actually kind of go flying uphill a little ways. And you're only going to take 2 points of bludgeoning damage as your shoulder kind of bangs into a rock. But with the momentum of sliding down the face of the volcano and everything, it seemed to absorb a lot of what you could have taken from this thing. But as it's dislodged you from its back, it wheels around. If before its eyes were glowing with an ancient fury, its eyes are now alight with imminence and rage as it looks at you. And it lunges at you with its fangs bared. A 16, I believe, hits you, correct?
It does.
As its teeth sink into you, you take 14 points of piercing damage. It wheels around with one of its claws. 22. The claw raking across you for 15 points of slashing damage. And as if that wasn't enough, it attempts. You see the stump of the wing where you cut it off, spraying some blood out as it tries to work, and its other wing tries to reel it up as it tries to lift off the ground. And it spins itself around, unable to lift off, and swings its tail at you. Ooh. For a 30 to hit. As the tail comes crashing down on you, you take 13 points of slashing damage. And you also, as all of these attacks have happened to you, from the bite, from the claw, from the tail, you feel the necrotic energy of this creature that is somehow both undead and not undead. Deals an additional 14 points of necrotic damage to you. That's combined from all 3 attacks. and it rises to its full height, and its saliva is just dripping down onto your bleeding body.
I'll describe Brunhild's reaction on her turn.
Say again?
I said I'll describe Brunhild's reaction on her turn.
Okay. And the giant's already dead, so Torchwood.
All right. So, upon seeing his companion and Brunhild just utterly decimate this dragon, he gets to the position of, I want to take this thing out. I want to take this thing out as soon as possible, with the most force that I possibly can. And oh wait, yeah, Yuri should be up.
Yeah, thanks. I don't. I'm sorry, Yuri. It's nothing against you. I got you written down in a jumble at the bottom because you guys all rolled so low. So yeah, you're up.
Thank you. So Yuri, still in elemental form, will sprint up to the dragon, who's losing blood and pieces, and try to slam each part of his body, swirling around him and slamming 2 times into him. So 20. Does it hit?
Was it 20 hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You can actually. I'm going to give you advantage on that attack too.
Thanks. I'm going to see. Yeah, it's a 19, so I guess it will hit on the dice. So 11 bludgeoning damage, which is magical. And for the second attack, okay, 27. So I guess I will hit that too.
Yep.
13 bludgeoning again, still magical, and the storm is hitting the Typhon with some copper flashes and some screams and all of the smoke, the cinders, and it's going all out to kill that thing.
And these are solid hits on this thing, and you can feel the force of it as these hits land on it, and its decaying flesh gives way, and pieces of bone and rotted scale start to fleck off of this thing. And Torchwood, before you go, because this is the round where large flaming boulders begin crashing down around all of you as this eruption that happened a little while ago is finally bringing its way down on you. Marquise, in a way, you are getting a wish that I have heard you ask for several times. So you get what you wish for. I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw.
Nobody will be killing Brunhild today. And if she does die, I'm just going to sit here and crawl in the corner because I actually like this character.
Alright, I gotta make sure I got enough d6 here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, I got them all. See if you guys can see that. That's 20d6.
I'm sorry,
And-
but can we just stop for a moment and think of how impressive it was that you were actually able to hold 20d6 in your hand and roll? Like, good for you. You know, I've got little carny hands. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I've done what I can, but you know, I'm stuck with that. But good on you, man.
I gotta ask, when you say little carny hands, do you mean like a carny that works at a carnival, or
Yeah, exactly.
like James and Tim's? James and Tim.
What? No. Like a carny that works at a carnival.
Well,
Dear Tim and James from Tabletop Tinners, if you ever watch this, just note that I meant carny as in an individual that works for a carnival, not a carny. You know, not someone with your last name.
Don't believe his lies.
Oh, hey, Marquise, that's really funny. Shut up.
I can't even do it now.
That was good. I like that. You know what? You tried to hold it together, Chad, and you know what? Good on you. Good on you.
Good lord, they got me so.
All right, I gotta see. I'm sorry. You said carny hands, and that's exactly where I thought you were going with it. Was on James and Tim.
No, I've got I actually use like medium-sized work gloves, and it's sad because the guy I work with uses like extra large work gloves. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I got my hands. I just do what I can."
You like that Burger King commercial?
That's right. That's right.
All right. I rolled the first set of 20. I'm adding up the second set of 20, and we'll see what happens here.
Notice how the first set of 20, folks. The first set of 20, not even the second.
I match those up, and then those up. I'm trying to pair them in the tens for the easy math here. Okay. Let's see. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Okay. All right. Let me see what your numbers were. So, Cragfall. You save. Oh, Yuri. I'm wondering, because you're in an air elemental form, what are your is that just a standard air elemental? Is that a copper elemental?
Oh, it's a standard elemental. I don't have any resistance or something to fire.
If it knocks him down to 0, he's just going to turn back to his normal form anyway, so he's pretty...
Right, yeah, you're right. I'm just curious. Well, you do have damage resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons.
Didn't happen yet, but yes, I would probably...
Okay. I just want to say, because you guys everybody's taking half damage for that saved, and you're taking the full brunt of this damage. It is bludgeoning damage and fire damage. The totals that I rolled with my 40d6 were 76 bludgeoning damage and 73 fire damage.
So if we split the bludgeoning in 2, it would be 30-something and 70.
So
okay,
yeah. 35, 30.
It'll be 38 bludgeoning. And sorry, how much fire did you say?
38 bludgeoning, and it was 73 was the full total for the fire.
So 111.
35, 36.
Wow.
So that would be 90. Yeah. Wait. No.
I have 100.
38, 36, 72. 72 total damage.
Okay.
You did 146, because you said 76 and 73, right?
Right.
Right, so you did I added it up, right? Oh, that's too much. So you did 149 total.
And if we split the bludgeoning in 2, like I said, it would be...
74 damage total is what everybody's going to take.
Okay.
Is anybody still standing?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, yes.
And Yuri, you would have taken damage that would have dropped you, and well, possibly. I don't know what your air elemental hit points are,
I have
but it would have dropped you
19.8.
So it would have reverted you back to your form.
Okay.
So you should be good.
So I take 74 damage in that form, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then how are you, Cragfall? You still standing?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely still standing.
How about Brunhilde?
We'll see what Brunhild is doing on her turn, but I can say she is not standing.
I am barely breathing, folks. Barely breathing. 27.
And Torchwood, it is your turn.
Okay.
And this will all happen kind of at once all around, and just so you guys don't worry, I'm going to put my 20d6 away because the meteor swarm of eruption has ended.
Okay. So, upon just seeing the volcano and the sky above, everything around it erupts into just madness, boulders upon boulders just descending on all of us. Torchwood would take it upon himself as he's being pelted by these boulders repeatedly. And he would he would do something in the fact that he would look at this dragon and say, "Now is your time of reckoning. If I only have one breath left in this life," as he pulls himself up from the crevice of the hole that he was in, "I promise to myself, my lineage, my family name, I shall not die today. And if I die, may my ashes be given a cause." And you see that as he's standing up, he begins to glow. The copper begins to glow almost a revenant, iridescent color as he continues to just rise and rise. His eyes begin to glow and steam up in this copper sense, and almost all of the ash that was on his skin has just eroded into nothing but copper flesh. Everything that once was there is completely copper. And the ash that's raining down on him from the boulder storm, he's getting pelted left and right, but he continues to stride forward, and he points his hand out toward the dragon's face. "I shall never allow you to enter a world where my fellow elves will see their reckoning." And, alright, I'm going to cast, or I'm going to use my Elemental Adept feat. And I'm going to say that I'm going to use fire, but I'm going to also cast prismatics, like the prismatic spray.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a 60-foot cone, and it does 10d6 of elemental damage across like a whole bunch of different elemental damages as it goes sprawling out over this dragon. Let me see what it actually, if I have to roll for it or not. I'm trying to remember for the... Yeah, here we go. Prismatic spray. It says each one flies from the hand in a 60-foot cone. The creature must make a dexterity saving throw, and then for each, so then I have to roll a d8 to determine what kind of ray effect. So I will roll to hit first. And yeah, buddy. That's going to be easily 26 to hit. To be 26 to hit. I rolled an 8. Okay, and then so 10d6. I don't even have 10d6 available, so I gotta roll multiple times. And I gotta roll a d8 to see what kind of damage it is too. So let's do that first. So it's going to be... Okay, so it's going to be 10d6 cold damage on a failed save and half as much damage on a successful one. So, all right.
That's a dex save.
That's a dex save.
Let's see. That's 5. Huh. Rolled with disadvantage, both 12s. With plus 5. It gets a 17 on its dex save.
Carry the 1 over, divided by 3. Add 4. Square root the hypotenuse.
So 35. So 35 would be the total amount of damage coming from that cold blast. Let's see. And if they made it, which I assume if you rolled a 17 against my, what is it, spell save DC, which would be 10 plus my intelligence plus my proficiency, right?
Yep.
And that would be 19 for mine.
So that's a fail.
That's a fail. So they take full 38. 38 points of the cold damage just comes scraping
Really?
and launching across the face of the dragon.
So, you, as you do this and you summon forth this attack, you notice that the prototyphon was also subjected to the eruption fallout, and it was already hurting pretty badly. So as you deal this prismatic spray and this cold damage hits at full force, what does it look like as this desecrated prototyphon is destroyed at your hand?
I'm so happy right now, fool. I'm so happy. I imagine that you would see the hand. At first, it's far away, but as the front muzzle of this dragon begins to freeze with almost this chilling flames as it comes up and exits through the nostrils and through the eyes, it's just coming off in icicles. And he thinks to himself, no, this is not enough. And he begins to thrust his hand against the muzzle, and you see it just grip on. And the entirety of the skull and head just begins to encase itself in ice. May you never rise again. And he takes his hand after the whole head and neck has been completely frozen over and just pushes as hard as he can to shatter the skull and head of this dragon to the ground.
Awesome. And as this happens and you just force it down, that's exactly what it does. The head shatters and pieces of rotten, frozen flesh and skull begin to just rain all over the place. And this cold effect actually continues. It seems to be reacting with the imminence magic that was within this thing. And you see almost as if the cold is battling with the imminence as it crackles in red electrical and blue energy sizzling and steaming across its body. And as its head and neck are shattering and it's falling to the ground, the rest of its scales and its rotten flesh begin to peel away, revealing Titan copper-laced bone structure as it begins to fall to the ground. And you see its rib cage kind of separating out, and you see the last couple beats of a pure Titan copper heart. Ka-thunk, as it lands on the ground, where the pieces of this prototype and have literally collapsed and decayed around it, and it's almost nestled in a nest of its own debris.
That's just awesome.
Is that the end of initiative order? Or the another one flying out? Let's continue it.
Is it still alive, or?
So
It's no, is it still alive?
is the Titan copper heart like in the middle of this decayed decrepitness?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Before I finish, then you see him finish this. Watching it slowly, he analyzes the decaying body as it just melts away, and he steps into the necrotic flesh, steps into the whole eminence, everything. He's not afraid. Torchwood has been far from afraid, being burned thousands of times with all of his bombs and mechanical engineering. And he reaches down and he grabs on to the Titan copper heart. He holds it in his hand, just staring at it. And then you see him pull a cartridge, like a little container, from the side of his belt. And if you'll allow me, I'm going to take it and contain it to bring it back as evidence of our kill.
The heart is probably the size of a medicine ball.
Oh, okay. So it's not big enough probably to contain?
Not in like a bottle or a container like you're thinking. I mean, you can still, it's heavy, it's Titan copper, you can hold it, but you're not really going to be able to contain it, but you still can take possession of it.
Okay. But yeah, so I'm going to hold possession of it so that we can take it back to them.
And Brunhild, I believe you have something to say?
So, in the aftermath in the battle, there is silence as his heart is being picked up and contained. Or there would be silence if it wasn't for the whimpering of a small wolf pup. And if anyone turns to the right, they see this ethereal pup standing on top of a massive mound of burning rock. And it is just whining and clawing and whining and clawing at the rubble. And it begins to knock a little bit away, and you guys see just the briefest exposed shimmer of copper armor underneath it, which Cragfall would instantly realize would be the armor of Brunhild.
I think it's safe to say that like the battle's over. Rage is just kind of subsiding. I would first look to Brunhild, see if she's okay. After all, we share a chapter. So I would run to my chapter sister and seeing her on the ground, I would just grab whatever health potions I had left and just start force feeding it to her.
So as you get over there, then, and I imagine you whipping away the rock from her, kind of how, you know how Onslaught armor works, the Convictus armor. So the moment you pull it away, you see it kind of shinks back from her face. You can hear it locking into place, and then it locks back around from her chest and her arms, and is slowly sliding back into the original Jackalbite, which is the actual fangs in the roof of her mouth. And as you see it kind of finally go back underneath her lips, you can hear her breathing just faintly, and her eyes are closed, and she is literally every inch covered in blood and burns. And as you begin literally as you said, force feed her the potions, her eyes don't open at first, but you can hear the rhythm of her breathing changing, and that ethereal wolf pup just fades away into nothingness as she begins to breathe regularly. And her eyes open slowly. They're kind of matted shut by the blood, but again she blinks that away, and she looks up to you. And she doesn't say anything at first, but then she smiles and she says in a voice less than a whisper, "That was a very good hunt, my brother."
Yes, we certainly killed what we needed to. Now, you stop lying down. What do you think this is? Huh? A vacation? Come on. As you know, the only easy day was yesterday.
And when you say that, she laughs just weakly, and she repeats to you, or she replies to you, "Without compromise, eh?" And she slowly begins to pick herself up from the rubble, and she's wrapping her arm around your shoulder to pull herself up, and she continues, "I think I will take you up on that drink and return to the Ark."
That's good to hear. And then immediately I will like kind of shoot my gaze over to the other two, and start running over with the last of my health potions, which I have 3, which means you guys can Thunderdome, who gets 2, who gets 1.
Okay. Yuri will go back into dwarf form. Says, "Told you. Fire consumes, but cold preserve. Good job, Torchwood." And he will smash his club on the ground and will cast Mass Cure Wounds on all the party as a 6th level spell. So I will heal all the team. $19 for everyone.
I would take that so much.
As this healing energy courses through all of you, Torchwood, you feel this healing energy coursing through, mending some of your wounds. And at the same time that you're feeling the healing energy, you feel, starting at your back and ending at your front, you feel a searing, sharp pain as you look down. You're holding this massive prototyphon's heart made of Titan copper. You see a sword tip piercing out of your chest, dealing 14 points of piercing damage. And the rest of you begin to hear from behind Torchwood and kind of all around you, you begin to notice what, from the shaking of the volcano, there's been rubble constantly moving, and all this debris from the shattered Villanavi, and from these ruptured bags of holding from the giant. You begin to hear shing, sing, 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 as all of these weapons begin to coalesce and form, as this massive form begins to rise behind Torchwood, raising him into the air on the end of one of its arms where the sword pierces out. And as you see more and more swords begin to go shing, 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 and hammers and axes, you see 2 red crystals rising up out of the ground of this rubble and begin to circle around as the head forms. And one crystal, shink, forms, and the other, shink, and you realize that its second crystal eye is shattered as it rises to its full height, bearing Torchwood on the end of its arm. And it kind of cracks with a metallic crack as its head turns, and it says, "Amalgamation complete. Form nearly perfect." and with its other hand, it reaches around you, Torchwood, and it takes the Titan copper heart. And you see, as it lifts it from your grasp, the heart actually begins to meld in and travel through swords and daggers and stuff, begins shifting as it travels through the arm of Amalgam and moves through its shoulder and into its chest. And there's kind of a shudder of blades and weapons as it absorbs the prototyphoid's heart into it. And it says, "Form perfect." And then it just withdraws the sword from its arm and from your body as you fall to the ground. And it regards all of you. And in what could be described as this thing's version of laughter, it sounds like dozens of daggers and swords clattering together. "Copper Jackals, you are so easily manipulated." And it turns to the side where you see coming up the side of the mountain and come from behind it, you see a form pull its hood back, and the cloak slides aside, and you see the copper bite of Silvas, the Arcanic of Nil, walk up beside Amalgam. And he says, "You are like puppets before Amalgam." And he raises a hand up, and you see the copper jackal bite of Silvas begin to raise up from her body and almost dance up to his hand. And he begins to move swords and daggers. And he begins to move her like a marionette. "Manipulated every step of the way. From the beginning to the end." And using these marionette strings of this copper jackal bite on her, her one arm kind of raises in a jerky motion and touches the amulet at her neck. And instead of feeling the instant teleportation, there's a brilliant flash of flame from her chest. And also from the chest of Torchwood, Yuri, and Cragmaw, as you were all still wearing your amulets. And you all can make one dexterity save as you see this happen to attempt to remove this, if you think that you would have made that reaction.
First off, Jake, before we continue, that was fucking amazing. Second off, thank God I'm not wearing my amulet. Holy shit.
Never been so happy to leave a magic item behind.
Hell yeah, dude.
Let's see, I need another D10.
Could I use... Is there someone I could help? Because my arm is right there around my good buddy Crackfall. Could I like give him advantage by helping him like remember, like reach up and like try to rip it from his neck or something?
I'll allow it.
All right. You roll that, Mike, because I'm helping you out.
All right, re-rolling. Oh, that's way better. Whew. What's my dex? +2. Oh, May, yeah, definitely pulled me up my ass out of the fire.
So, you, as you reach up, you all see what's happening, and you reach to grab these amulets and rip them away, and Cragmaw kind of fumbles for a moment, but seeing what's happening, you actually fumble only because Brunhild's hand is already there, pulling the amulet away. and you all rip it away from your body far enough that they burst in your hands, and you take basically the 19 hit points that you got from the mass healing from Yuri is gone. But at the same time, you feel the volcanic realm around you dissolve. And you feel that familiar sensation of teleportation. And you find yourself instantly back where you started, on the bridge of the murder arc, with the last remnants of the explosions traveling through the teleportation with you. And at your feet, her jackal bites just beginning to reform to her flesh. And her cloak is actually burning away from her. Silvas, the traitor, the Arcanic of Nil, lies at your feet unconscious. And Dupree looks at you, seeing how this happened, and he just says, "What the hell happened out there?"
So, go ahead, Mike.
No. Go right ahead.
So, Dupree, what Dupree would see as I guess they come flying through is that Brunhild's body actually smashes into the sand table and she falls to one knee and she's holding her right arm, the arm that she used to save Cragfall's life from that explosion of flames. And her arm, from the tips of the fingers all the way up to the elbow, is just burnt completely black, much like Torchwood himself. And she's taking in these sharp breaths, and when Dupree says that, she looks up to him and she simply says, "Traitor, amalgam." And she looks over to the rest of the party for them to continue because she's in too much pain to actually speak in coherent sentences right now.
Okay. Pre hearing the name Amalgam just goes, you'd see him just kind of almost, he doesn't even know how to take that in, and he doesn't really respond at first. Next, if anybody else has anything to say.
Yuri gets up and says, "There was a Typhon, and he's dead. But the amalgam, used our friend as a puppet, and he's gone. I don't know what to do now. It's not what I do usually, but we are all alive, at least."
Is the prototyphon? What of the prototyphon?
And at that point, Torchwood, if we could rewind a little bit, I imagine this is how the whole event happens. Torchwood, having this sword shoved through his chest, is a bit in shock and awe. He imagined victory, and now he sees almost imminent death. As he slides off of the end of the blade, and he throws, and he realizes the betrayal. He yanks off the medallion, and he holds it out in his hand, much like he would a grenade, and just lets the grenade go off in his hand. His hand, upon leaving the mass explosions and the battlefield behind, is gone. It was completely eroded, obliterated, decimated. He lost a hand. But upon him arriving, he looks to his commander. He says, The prototype is no more. I froze his face and broke his entire being. He shall not bother anyone anymore. But this one, and he turns to the betrayer, the puppet of the puppet master. Amalgam had her wrapped tighter than the vines of the largest trees. If you will allow me, sir, I cannot allow for this creature. And he refers to her as a creature, even though she was a former copper jackal. I cannot allow for this creature to exist any longer.
She must be questioned.
Do you think that she will have enough energy to be questioned? I don't. And quite honestly, if we're being candid selves, you are a part of the onslaught. I am a part of the Firelands. And where I come from, if someone betrays you and creates a betrayal like no other, we let them burn.
When you say that, and you're echoing, by the way, Brunhild she's standing up now. She takes a good hand, the one that's not burnt to almost a crisp, and she slams it onto the sand table. And she looks at you, Torchwood, and her fangs are bared, and she's showing copper, so her fangs are also glistening that copper color right now. And she stares you in the eyes, and she says, I don't care what you Firelands do. I don't care what any of you people do. But if you want to hunt that creature that took that heart, we need to have the first jackal rip the knowledge from her bite so we can find it and I can take that heart back. And if you burn her right now, we will lose the chance to get our revenge and to destroy the dismembered Lord's puppet. Do you understand that, Torchwood?
I understand only a few things you're saying. I don't understand the bloodlust, but I understand the logic in your statement. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps my volatility, as it were, is the wrong way to go about it. And he takes off just for a moment as a symbol that he won't do anything. He won't touch her. He takes off his his belts of grenades, his all of his tinkering apprentice, as he's bleeding copper from the chest and blood. He just sets it down. If this is the logic you wish to hold on to, I completely understand. But I admit, if we are going to interrogate her, I would also like to be present when the first jackals do so. Partly because I want to be able to be the first person to lay a hand on her when they're done.
Torchwood, don't go now. Stay a bit. Your harm will come back. Nature has plenty to offer. You did well. Your harm will come back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, head nod or thumbs up. For some reason, I just lost all audio. I missed the end of your probably awesome soliloquy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, basically we killed everyone. And
Since Jake can't hear us, I'm now DM, and so what happened was we
this is the worst. At the very end, and I can't hear a thing.
We countered the media swarm, everybody. We sent it back out of
Oh,
Malcolm,
internets.
got the heart back, and we rode the heart back to the murder arc. Like the heart let us fly through the air. And then the Convokers came in, and we fought the Convokers on top of the heart, on top of the Griffins, on top of the volcano, and just, man, it was great, guys. So that's the end of the game. So I'll be back to DM next week, everybody.
Continue to do what you were doing in character, I guess.
no,
If there's
no,
anything else. I don't know.
Shut up, Marquise. Matter of fact, hey, you want to jump on that? And all of a sudden, everyone got +3 Holy Avenger Tommy guns from my world in the Ironheads Chronicles appeared in their hands. And I don't know.
And then, this is the thing, right? Let me close this real quick. So, right, I have this new book, everybody who's watching, called the, let me turn my camera on, called the, it's going to come up, The Curse of Strahd. So really what's happening is Strahd the Vampire is going to come into this one-shot at the very end. Is going to drink the traitor's blood and get soup. He's going to get the jackal bite from it. And then he's going to use that the copper, the Titan copper he's got, and he's going to cast a spell to rip all of our copper out. And then he's going to fuse with the Murder Arc, and the Murder Arc is going to be sucked into the Mistlands of Barovia. And then he's going to use it to destroy his enemies there. And that's
I'm sorry,
I still can't hear anything.
Hang on a sec. With what? Arcane magnets?
Can you guys hear
Yes.
me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you, but you can't hear us.
What an exciting conclusion. We had Strahd in the end of the conclusion. It was a good game.
Oh my gosh. The anti-climax of my... Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
Yes.
So, I'm going to assume you guys said some really awesome stuff about wanting to go after Amalgam. And I'm going to wrap this up. I really wanted to do a Q&A and talk with you guys afterwards. But obviously we won't be able to do that. So to the viewers, I apologize for the technical difficulties at the end here. And then I'll do a restart after we go off. So I'm going to end this. I want to thank Chad and Matthew and Mike and Marquise for making this so much fun. I had an absolute blast running this. I threw some pretty big, high damage stuff at you guys, and you guys were all still standing at the end, barely. Some needed a little help, and I hope you guys enjoyed a few little twists. For those of you that may remember back to the beginning of the Copper Jackals, you might remember the Dirt Box Part 2. So Amalgam had a very special place in Chad's heart. Quite literally, in this case, the special place being kind of just to the right of the heart where the sword came through. I was half expecting to give you a chance to quote, "I'm a leaf on the wind." So with that, I'm going to let each of you give a sign off. Give me a thumbs up, and then when you're done, and then we're gonna end the broadcast. So, Chad.
All right. So, Jake, man, this is the first time I've had you DM for me ever, and basically greatest thing I've ever had. You'll watch it later and you'll hear this. This is probably one of the best games I've played in because that was just the best ending I could ever have asked for, especially with all the extra canon stuff we added at the end. So I mean, it's just it's one of those things that I'm gonna remember after this. But for you guys who don't know me, my name is Chad Nick. That's Chad Knick. You can find me at Chad Nick on YouTube. I do my own little D&D games there, and I also talk about accessibility for video games and other tabletop games and stuff. And I'm also at gastrogamer.wordpress.com. That's where you can find me.
All right. So Jake is restarting his computer right now, but this is kind of an awkward situation, really. So
take over. We start running a whole new session with the character.
It's not really that awkward. I mean, just okay. So next guy up. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but on my left, next one up is the sexy and delicious Mathieu.
Go ahead, Matthew.
So, Jake, you will see it later, hear it later. So thank you very much to letting me play with these guys and you. It was very fun. I had really lots of fun to play my character, that taciturn dwarf. It was very fun, like I say. If you want, I don't have any channel on YouTube. Maybe I will have, but you can find me on YouTube on the name of Marpaws, MARPAWS. And thank you very much again, and we'll see you soon. So I guess at Mike next time.
Yep, Mike.
Me? All right. So yes, big massive thank you to Jake for running an absolutely beautiful game. It was artistic. It was lovely, well thought out, well planned. It was just awesome. If you're not subscribed to this man's channel, subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to everybody's channel here, except for mine because I'm shit. But regardless of that, everyone here did an amazing job. I absolutely love it, and yeah, I'm so happy. Like I am so stoked that I was able to play in a Copper Jackals game with my ridiculous barbarian, because barbarians are so ridiculous. They really are. Anyway, that's all I got, and thanks everyone for tuning in. You guys are all rock stars, so rock on.
You want me to give my outro too, Jake?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So again, I am the bold and the beautiful stereotypical Strider. You might also know me as Marquise Hardest on the Facebooks. You can find me at the YouTube channel, Stereotypical Strider, where I run a bunch of live plays for my games that I do run. I run about a few every month. I'm also 1/3 of A Point of Inspiration, and A Point of Inspiration is a non-profit third-party publisher. We put out supplemental material for D&D 5e. We plan on expanding to other RPGs here pretty soon. I was play testing a archetype for my upcoming book coming probably near the end of March or early April, Tooth and Claw, where basically you play as a predator with Matthew Mercier's Blood Hunter class, and you just go around and, as you saw, you savage every living thing you see. Other than that, this game was beyond fantastic. I loved playing my character. I loved the interactions of all the characters, and that amalgam ending was perfect. Your voice for it, Jake, was beyond superb. That being said, as Mike said, do go ahead and subscribe to this channel, Mediterranean Domain. It's an awesome channel. I love every game on here. I love the tutorials on here. And see if you can even buy some terrain from Jake, because when this man makes stuff, he makes it. That being said, I'll let you go ahead and take us out, Jake.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for taking me through that technical difficulty. I'm going to assume you were all saying fantastic things about me. I'll go back and listen to it later. And again, I apologize for that. At least it happened at the end. I'm very thankful for that. I do want to say that I believe I'm accurate in saying that for every one of you, this is the first game that I've DM'd for you. And it was, I mean, I played with some of you guys, and this was awesome. I love seeing the way you guys played your characters. and played these Jackals and the flavor and just everything about it. I love watching the little thumbnails as I'm narrating and seeing the different reactions to the different stuff that's happening. And so I'm glad you guys liked it. I definitely see that there's an opportunity for a future amalgam hunt. I got to thank the guys over at Absolute Tabletop because I individually messaged Tim and James and then Matt and Barker for a little bit of advice on the different mechanics, running the volcano mechanics. I pretty much had the ideas. I just kind of want to run some stuff by them. And I actually had the amalgam idea, Chad, before I realized I had never actually watched part 2 of the Dirt Box. And I ran it by Matt, and he was like, dude, that's awesome. And I actually did that at the end of the Dirt Box. I was like, what? So I went back and watched it to make sure I could kind of spin off of that. And I was amazed that I had already decided to kind of incorporate your character with it, and that it had already happened with one of your characters before. So that was pure chance that had happened that way.
Yeah, man, that was so cool because really, the Dirt Box was my very first game that I'd played online for anything, and so it was the first game that I'd ever played on there. So it was one of those things where when you mentioned that, I was like, oh no, the weapons are moving, and immediately I was just like, nope, not gonna say nothing, but that's so cool because now I want to play Teague again. And now I want to bring his character back, and just awesomeness, man. Which, by the way, now I think we should note this, Tim and James. That's 2 of my Copper Jackals now that don't have use of one of their hands. Not to ruin anything, but they don't have some sort of use of one of their hands. There you go.
Well, again, I want to thank each of you guys. I want to thank everybody that watched. We had a pretty steady 10 viewers all the way through to the technical difficulties, and I know many more people are going to go back and watch this. And whether I run an additional game to give you guys a chance to go after Amalgam, or somebody else in the community wants to take that and run with it, either way, I look forward to seeing more Copper Jackals games. I know Chris over at Drop Dice, he's been following along in the chat. If you're not subscribed to him, go check it out because he's run already some Copper Jackals, and I know these guys have probably already plugged their stuff, so you should subscribe to everybody because there's some amazing stuff going on out there. So again, thank you all. I've been Mini Terrain Domain. Good night. Mitada.